Dan AFL continues around the nation.
Hello, I'm Patrick Stack, and if you like great stories and you enjoy sport, then I reckon you need ABC Sport Daily in your life.
Of course, when there's so much tension already in that massive bowl that is Wembley Stadium with 86,000 people in it, of course it was going to penalties.
For example, when MS Dhoni plays at Chennai, it's like nothing else I've ever experienced.
The breakdancers in Australia feel that they don't really get the respect from the public.
It's a daily sports conversation, and it's called ABC Sport Daily. Find us on the ABC Listen app.
ABC Sport.
This is ABC Sports coverage of the 2023 AFL Premiership season.
Marks out to the right, steps on goal, superb finish.
Turns, whacks it straight through the middle. Pulls the trigger on goal and goes bang!
'Cause here it comes, here it comes. AFL. On ABC Radio, ABC Sport Digital, and now streaming on the ABC Listen app. Look for the AFL button.
Something big is coming, I know. The Western Bulldogs have made a promising start to season 2023, having won 7 of their first 11 games to sit in 7th position and a chance to step one step closer to the top 4 against an undermanned Geelong who have had their measure, winning 20 of the last 23 times they've met throughout the AFL history. For the Cats, one of their challenges is they're down on men and down on confidence in 10th position with 5 wins and 6 losses, having lost their past 3 matches. You have to go back to 2006, the last time Geelong lost 4 on the trot. Matt Clinch with you for ABC Sport. The roof is closed and we're expecting a big crowd tonight for what should be a good clash, 6th versus 10th, with the Cats taking on the Dogs. Ben Cameron to call the action alongside me. Welcome to you, Benny.
Yeah, thank you, Clinchy. Great to be here. The domestic pet jewel, the Dogs and the Cats, and 2 teams that can ill afford a loss. Both losers in round 11. And Geelong, they've lost their last 3, a 3-game skid for these all-conquering Cats. The last time they lost 4 in a row back in 2006. But these Dogs don't win too often against the Hoops. They've only won 2 of their last 18, going way back to 2009 against the Cats.
There's no late changes for either side, so Sam Simpson and Lockie McNeil are the subs for the Dogs and the Cats tonight. The usual Saturday night crew is here. Luke Ball, welcome to you.
Thanks, Clinchy. It feels like the game of the round, doesn't it? Only a 7-game round, this one. But, yeah, both teams coming up. I mean, that's an extraordinary stat, isn't it? And talks to the greatness, really, of this club since, you know, that period where it started back in 2007, that they haven't lost 4 games in a row. To me, tonight, it's set up for the Dogs. I mean, we're just chatting before we came on air about the middle of the ground and how, well, decimated, in a sense, Geelong are. They might have to come up with a few different things. We saw in the warm-up, Zach Tui in there, Mark O'Connor in there, taking some centre bounces. So we'll see how they combat this, well, on paper anyway, very much vaunted Bulldogs midfield that gets strengthened with Adam Treloar coming back, and obviously Tim English being in sensational form as well. So looking forward to it. Great contest, good contest at either end of the ground as well, Clinchy.
And alongside Paulie, Brendan Goddard. BJ, it doesn't feel like sort of we've said there's too many clutch games for Geelong along the stretch. They've been so consistent. As we touched on, only missed finals once since 2007, and yet it feels like with the bye, Port Adelaide and Melbourne to come, if they don't bank a couple of wins, the season and finals might slip away from them.
Yeah, and we probably didn't think we'd be in this position, did we, coming off the back end of last year and what they've achieved. But Paul also made a good point. We were talking off air just about what Geelong do have either end of the ground when they've got stability behind the ball with Stewart, Henry, De Koning, and then obviously we're all well aware of what's forward of the ball with Tom Hawkins and Jeremy Cameron. But obviously to do that, they're forced to be most efficient. It generally starts and finishes with the midfield, as Bally highlighted. But looking forward, I haven't seen much of the Bulldogs since the Saints played them early on the season. They're obviously up and about, and then Geelong, actually the last game that I'd seen them, it was against Adelaide when they had a full quota of midfielders with a good win. So you've all highlighted the importance more so for Geelong, but also just for the Bulldogs and just to keep their momentum rolling through the middle part of the season.
Sorry, Burge. Yeah, Ratugolea goes out of the side, and we know he's been in terrific form, but in a sense that frees up. You know, De Koning goes back behind the ball, which is where he played such great footy last year. He looked a bit all at sea forward of the ball last week. So looking at this Geelong back line now, really, apart from young Mullen, that's their premiership back line from last year, coming up against a really explosive forward line at times. So the De Koning-Norton matchup is another ripper that we get tonight.
Final member of our team sitting in the front row is Lauren Borden. Welcome to you, Loz.
Thanks,
Clinchy, nice to be sitting down here in front of a pretty big crowd at Docklands tonight. About 40,000 expected for this big match tonight, so it should be a cracking atmosphere down here. Like you mentioned, Sam Simpson for Geelong coming in as the sub, and Lachie McNeil, the specialist sub at the back for the Western Bulldogs yet again. It was the 5th time in 7 matches, the last 7 matches for the Western Bulldogs. He's at the back of the bench.
Dogs looking to stay in touch with the top 4. The Cats, the top 8. Here's Ben Cameron.
English wins the opening tap over Segler, straight down to Liberatore. He's tackled quickly. And a secondary ball up in the middle of Docklands.
Bulldogs go straight to the skipper, Marcus Bontempelli. You feel like that'll be the matchup tonight.
English again wins it down. Atkins with the clearance though for the Cats towards half forward. Bouncing ball. Cameron onto the end of the footy. Handball away towards Henry. He can't quite gather the football. Eventually he does. Handball out to Blitzarves. He's tackled quickly. That of course was Ollie Henry. Jack Henry playing down back. He's standing alongside Jamara Ugle-Hagan to start. All up here on the wing. Segler hooks it down. Running onto the football immediately, Atkins. He's tackled, and another ball up right beneath us. No score, opening 45 seconds.
Thrown up in the air, English and Segler. Segler wins down the tap, boundary side. Liberatore, it's after it. Tackled by Tanner Bruin across the boundary line, and a throw in front of the Geelong bench.
Is this a regular thing that Lobb's since starting on the wing? Have we seen
He's done it a bit, I haven't seen him start there, but I've done a couple of Dogs games this year, and he's certainly spent time there. Obviously, his ability to be able to get back behind the ball and support in the air, and then drift forward and try and hit the scoreboard as well.
A whistle before the ball was fully thrown in. Segler gets the free kick for a hold against English, and Geelong have it on the broadcast wing. Opening 90 seconds, looks to Blitzhouse at half forward, sets it up for him, in from the side, Ugle-Hagan did well, couldn't complete the mark but gathers. Hand pass to Liberatore, feeds it to McRae, kicks wide to Bontempelli, he marks it left half back. The Bulldogs captain has options inboard, he kicks it to Dale. Looks boundary side, English is free, he marks between wing and half forward.
Feeds a handball forward to Bontempelli, looks towards half forward, onto the chest of Waitman, a laser-like pass. Waitman marks, leaping up into the air, runs around at left half forward, drives it long towards Norton. Norton drags it in. The left forward pocket, 15 metres out, and can go back to try and kick the first.
You don't see that very often where a Geelong defender gets stuck one-on-one with a relatively slow player. Atkins wouldn't be too happy with that, where Bontempelli was able to just get goal side of him. I think he switched off, get that overlap handball, which we see a lot of now with the stand on them.
Norton wheels around onto the right and screws it home. He's kicked a goal in every game this year, and he's got one here in round 12 to start. The Bulldogs draw first blood. They're 1 straight 6. Geelong yet to score 2.5 minutes into the opening term.
Yeah, and Aaron Norton draws first blood. We spoke about that matchup with Sam De Koning, going behind the ball again tonight. And the corresponding fixture last year was a terrific matchup. Wasn't a terrific contest. 2 young star key position players, but you're right, Beej. Yeah, we're used to seeing some aerial support there, aren't we, from a Stewart or a Henry? So, but good ball movement from the Dogs from that halfback contest. That Jamara Ugle, that was a terrific contest from him. He's really starting to grow in confidence, isn't he? Which is fantastic to see. But from that contest, really, the Cats didn't see it. The Bulldogs were just able to work it through with precision.
22 goals of the season for Aaron Norton on the board early. Bounce is going to be recalled as it flares out to the left, favouring Segler. And the umpire will do it once more. So Bruin, Blitzhouse and Tom Atkins is Geelong's midfield. Up against Treloar, Bontempelli and Liberatore. Atkins gets the clearance of the Cats. Hand pass to Bruin out to half forward. It's over the head of Myers. A chance for DeRay, although Myers lays a good tackle. It was over the shoulder, says the umpire. And DeRay will look to chip it back inside defensive 50 immediately to Bailey Dale. He wants to look to get onto his left-hand side, around Stengel and then up towards Norton, who leads up the ground and marks at centre-half back.
So Norton getting busy early. Kicked the opening goal of the game. Kicks into the middle of the ground here. Gardner marks. Was on the Cats list. Didn't play a game. Sends it out towards the City wing. Bouncing ball. O'Brien runs onto it. Kicks the Dogs to half forward. And O'Donnell's able to mark 49 metres out. Now he stabs it into the pocket for Ugle-Hagan. Getting back, Kolajasny. Defensive mark for the Cats. Left back pocket.
Switches it out to Zach Guthrie, who marks just inside the boundary. The Bulldogs a goal. Geelong yet to score through 4 minutes. Back to Tom Stewart. Just to the right of the defensive goal square. Looks to Kolajasny. So they haven't transgressed any further, Geelong. Into the back pocket and Jack Henry takes the mark. Looks up to left half-back, around the city wing, and Zach Tui takes the mark. Chip mark game so far for Geelong, as they try and find an avenue out of defence. Tui, the Irishman. Game 260 closing in on that Jim Strines games record for an Irishman. Long down the wing, in good position. Mark not paid to Tim O'Brien. A little bit surprising. It's Jez Cameron gets it. He turns it straight over to Ray Marks for the Bulldogs. Hand pass to Treloar.
Treloar back in the side from that hamstring. Kicks forward of the wing. O'Donnell again, now towards half forward with his kick. Going up. Waitman right there with him. Stewart out of play.
Just watching there. He read that well, Tom Stewart. And we know that he's done that so well since he really entered this competition. Multiple All-Australians. Just cut that forward attack from the Dogs off at the pass.
The only score of the game, a Norton goal through the opening 5 minutes. Segler in front, takes it out of the ruck. He's tackled by English quickly. Wrapped up and we'll get a ball up. 55 metres out from the attacking goal for the Dogs.
Thrown up. English wins down the tap. There's not much room for Liberatore. As he's set upon and the umpire will ball it up. Right half forward for the Dogs. Segler sets himself against English. Tap comes down to Myers of the Cats, looking to find an avenue out of defence. Cuts a full 360, chips it back. Mullen marks. The Irishman on defensive 50, looks straight down the middle over the head of O'Connor. Set it up for Richards, who spoils it down. Waitman's hand pass forward to Liberatore. Back to Richards with speed. Gets the centre half forward. Vacant goal mouth. Bounces and gets there. Dogs are the opening 2 goals of the match. They're 2 straight 12 to Geelong yet to score. Through 6 minutes in the opening term on ABC Sport.
Well, it was a turnover from the Irishman, wasn't it? We love a bit of risk-taking, but it was a bit of a loopy kick back through the corridor, which is easy pickings for the defenders of the Bulldogs, and Richards is actually involved in that initial spoil, and then once the ball hit the ground, Geelong just didn't see it. I think it was Libba then cleaned it up with Waitman, and then Richards from about 60 with a vacant goal square. Really good finish.
Some sort of year, isn't he, Ed Richards? He's in All-Australian form at the moment, in All-Australian calculations, and it's really coincided with the move back behind the ball, which I always thought that was his best position. I saw him play school footy back behind the ball, and I know they experimented with him a little bit in that sort of forward pressure role, but to me, he just looks so much at home. Both he and Johannesson, who's obviously not out there tonight, so great start for Ed Richards and the Dogs.
Bounce back in the middle, spiking it forward English. Stewart comes off half-back for the Cats, gathers and kicks to the wing. Bouncing ball. Ollie Henry able to take it. Baker takes him to ground. Henry gets a handball away. Loose footy. Daniels slaps it out. McRae picks it up. Handball back to Bailey Dale. Gang tackled and eventually carried out. Umpire says throw it in between wing and half forward for the Cats. Lauren Borden.
Adam Treloar's come down and gone straight into the room. He's coming back from that hamstring injury. Lachie McNeil starting to warm up along the bench, so we'll watch and see how this one goes.
Not good.
Yeah, thanks, Woz. Missed the last 3 games. Adam Treloar, English wins down the tap. Atkins set upon by Bontempelli. Big tackle. And now Blitzhouse is thrown to the turf. Jack McRae and Oscar Baker lane the tackle. Just short of right half forward for the Cats, who haven't been inside 50 yet through the opening 8 minutes. The Bulldogs on 3 occasions for 2 goals. Blitzhouse and English. English wins down the tap. Bontempelli trying to thrust his way forward. He can't do so. As Nevitt lays the tackle with Atkins. There's a bit of pushing and shoving with Atkins and Liberatore.
Yeah, they've been physical with Bontempelli, the Cats mids.
Blitzhouse wins the tap. Onto it O'Connor. Handball away to Nevitt. He kicks into the pocket. Kick smothered. Liberatore will go and pick it up. Loops a handball to Baker. Slaps it on cleverly to McRae. Kicks around the boundary. And Waitman goes up and gets it. Takes a nice mark just backward of the wing for the Dogs. He'll kick into the middle of the ground and it will all open up.
And he's got Richards running again. Run down goal. Rowan, I don't think, completed the tackle. Play on's the call. Hawkins just picks it up, drives it forward towards Cameron. He's got Liam Jones to compete against, trying to bring the ball to ground, and Bailey Dale rushes in, taps it to his own advantage. Ran into Isaac Smith. Gardner too slow. Tackled by Close. Spills the way of Caleb Daniel. I think it is a Geelong free kick. Isaac Smith wants the advantage. It won't be given as Henry dribbled it through. It'll come back to the left forward pocket and Brad Close to try and finish the job.
2 great examples of forward pressure tackles, one of them in the middle of the ground. I mean, Ed Richards, we just finished singing his praises, didn't we? He was off, but Gary Rowan, when he has them in his sights, no one's quicker at mowing people down. He's come off, he's got a blood nose for his troubles. He was running too fast, he ran into the back of him. And then Brad Close doing the same thing to earn himself a shot at goal.
A goal last week against the Giants. Big kick, looking to get Geelong on the board. Close from the left forward pocket. Got it.
Wasn't convincing, was it?
Goal umpire had a good look at it as it drifted to the right-hand side up against the left goalpost, but the all clear is given. And the Cats are on the board. They're 1 straight 6, so the Bulldogs 2 straight 12. 10 minutes gone, opening term with Brendan Goddard and Luke Ball.
You know what it was, BJ? Close.
Benny at his best, ladies and gentlemen. But it was Gary Rowan. His ability to go from 4th gear to 6th gear is there's none better. But I'm not sure why it wasn't actually paid, so I think they felt like they were a bit hard done by the Geelong supporters. We're not being given that free kick in the middle, but Jeremy Cameron made the contest when the ball did go forward from Hawkins here. I'm not sure just on the replay how that's not a free kick, but really good pressure. And then Jeremy Cameron brought the ball to ground, and then the Smalls just bought enough time for the Smalls to get back in an impact for Geelong.
English slaps it down. Bailey Smith trying to burst onto it. Waitman gathers off to Bontempelli. Flying shot is missing right. The first behind of the match, 2-1-13 the Dogs. The Cats 1 straight 6. Nearly 11 minutes played in the opening term.
Disappointed himself there, the Bont. Had plenty of time and space there to break the paint. Just missed to the right.
Zach Tui is going the barrel straight down the middle. A torpedo to the centre circles where Ollie Henry's beaten and Richards takes the mark for the Bulldogs. They might springboard here. Out to Bailey Williams at right half forward. He can kick a long bomb from 55. The answering response misses to the right-hand side. An 8-point lead the Dogs way. What would you give it out of 10, BJ the Barrel? You are our barrel expert.
That was pretty good.
That was a goodie.
Yep.
Good height too. That's a real NFL special, that one. That's a punter special, isn't it? Yeah.
There goes Tui again, another barrel. This one's a wounded duck. It floats into the middle of the ground. Close, can't mark. Gathers on the bounce. He'll spin and kick towards the wing, looking for Ollie Henry. He can only turn it over. Gardner marks for the Dogs. Handball to Richards. Handball to Bontempelli. At half forward, he'll kick into the pocket. Norton going up. Right there with him, Jack Henry. He spoils it out. Throw in left forward pocket here for the Western Bulldogs.
Yeah, that's what we're used to. He had the coning shot there, Norton, but Jack Henry came across to support. That's when the Cats back line's at its best.
Inside 50, 6-2 the Dogs way. Lob against Blitzhouse. Taps it down to McRae. Nowhere to go. Blitzhouse wrestles it from him. Kearns it straight over. A kick which is marked by Bailey Williams directly in front. 45 metres out from goal.
It's a coach killer. That little grubber hat kick out of congestion in a deep back 50 through the corridor. More often than not lands in the opposition's hands, doesn't it? Because that's the way that teams set up their defence behind the stoppage. So got to get more purchase on it somehow.
It's been a goal kicker as well. Bailey Williams from right on 50, sets flight. It's out to the right and it won't come back. 2-3-15 the Dogs to Geelong 1 straight 6. 12 minutes gone opening term. Lauren Borden on the boundary.
Gary Rowan's just had some cotton wool stuffed up his nose and he's got the taping across the nose and across the head. We still haven't seen Adam Treloar still down in the Western Bulldogs room.
Tui plays onto the pocket this time, gives a handball to Zach Guthrie. Long kick towards neutral territory on the wing. Blitzarv's able to rove the pack. Handball forward, Bontempelli picks it up. Handball to Daniel for the Dogs and then away towards Baker. His kick turned over. Atkins, he'll kick forward of the wing for the Cats. Losing his footing there is Jones for the Dogs. Myers runs onto the footy. Inside attacking 50. Handball forward to Stengel. In the pocket. Oh, take them on. Tightrope the line. Feed the handball. Hawkins' snap is a miss. They did all the hard work. Hawkins can't finish. 1-1-7 the Cats. 2-3-15 the Dogs. 13 and a half into the first.
I did a really good job to recover. Really, Brian Myers had Tom Hawkins on a short lead.
Bailey Dale went for Caleb Daniel. He missed him. Turns it over. O'Connor deep to full forward. No one there for Geelong. And Dale, to his relief, takes intercepting mark. Out to the left back pocket where Baker tried to work it forward. They're just a bit cute. Bontempelli beaten by Atkins. Good follow-up tackle by Bontempelli. Wrapped up Isaac Smith. Bailey Smith's kick is too wide for Norton.
Whoa.
And out on the full just from where Lauren Borden's watching on.
Adam Treloar's made his way back up. He's just been getting a rub down, now sitting at the front of the bench and ready to go on. So he's been sorted out from whatever he had down in the rooms.
Thanks, Loz. Dogs by 8 points.
Looks like maybe a little bit of strapping on the left calf. So just keep an eye on that, Loz, as Stewart takes the kick. Short to Atkins on the logo. Atkins will chip it short to Myers. Been rated the best kick inside 50 in the AFL this year, Brian Myers.
He's a good decision maker too. Part of it is, we saw him before get himself out of space, out of trouble. He's a really good decision maker.
Kicks inside 50 here, but no mark taken. Free kick given away by Tom Hawkins, and Gardner will get it. Left half back for the Dogs. 8 points their lead midway through this first term.
He goes back to Bailey Dale, 15 minutes out from his defensive goal. And out to Jack McRae in the right back pocket. Bulldogs leading by 8 points. Meanwhile in Darwin, it's the Gold Coast Suns with the opening goal. They're 1 straight 6, so the Crows are behind. Up towards Scott on the wing. Punched out of play by Kolajasny. A throw in just short of left half forward for the Cats on the city side of Docklands.
Bulldogs kicked the first 2. Geelong have kicked the last goal of the game. They came through Brad Close. Segler, left-hand tap right down at his feet. Lots of players pile on top, and a ball up between wing and half forward for the Cats. Umpire puts it up. Segler knocks it forward. Atkins can't quite gather it initially. Myers picks it up. Handball away to Nevitt. Handball inside 50 for Close. Look out. Richards knocks it away. And then eventually Bailey Williams for the Dogs, who'll snap beyond defensive 50. Touch ball, play on, says the umpire. Now a live footy, and eventually it goes out. About 55 around from the attacking goal for the Cats. Bulldogs lead by 8 points.
Ben Cameron, Matt Clinch, Brendan Goddard, Luke Paul and Lauren Borden with you for Saturday night footy. Adelaide have answered back with a goal through Riley O'Brien. Levi Casbolt, the goal kicker for the Suns, so a goal apiece there. Tap down to Nevitt, quick kick inside 50. Richards was in front of Stengel, tries to knock it out of defence. Bontempelli charges in. Hand pass to Liberatore for the Dogs on half-back. Always has time and finds an option chipping it back. And Gardner takes the mark 40 metres out from his defensive goal. Looks out city side. Sends it wide to right half-back, and Bailey Williams takes the mark. Bulldogs leading by 8 points. Williams wants to come inboard, spots Richards. So much of their launch from half-back is through him. His kick is just wide, though, of O'Brien. Picked it up by Zach Toohey for Geelong. Hand pass to Jezza Cameron. Just needs to find a way past Richards. Hand pass inboard to Myers. Now back to Toohey. Sidesteps around Dale. Swings onto his left and gets it there. Hard work for the Cats, but Zach Toohey kicks their second and closes the margin to 2 points the Bulldogs' way. 2-3-15 to Geelong 2-1-13. We played 17 minutes in the opening term on ABC Sport.
The pressure's been relatively good the last 10 minutes, but Bulldogs ball use is just
unforced errors.
Unforced errors by foot.
Of them. Good kicks too.
There's 3 in a row about 2 minutes ago just here on this interchange side wing, and then good ball users too. Yeah. Bailey Dale involved, Richards, Smith. So just giving them a chance, but you have to give them a little bit of credit. They locked it in their forward half. Their forward pressure's been good. Repeat stoppages. Had a couple of shots on goal. So it's somewhat safe forcing a bit of an error, but the first 3 in particular are unforced and just giving the opportunity for Geelong to lock it in their forward half.
So Geelong respond after the Bulldogs kick the opening 2 goals of the game. Back in the middle, English hands on it, knocks it down to Bontempelli, who knocks it on. Eventually a strong tackle in the middle on Bruin. Bailey Smith dragging him to ground. Has a history against the Cats, Bailey Smith. That little Liverpool kiss on Zach Toohey last year. Segler with the clearance. He kicks out towards the logo on the wing. Bouncing ball. Onto it, Bailey Williams. Handball over his head. Close to the boundary line. Close is there. He picks it up. His handball out. And a throw in on the wing. The Bulldogs by 2 points. They're 2-3. The Cats 2-1.
You see Adam Treloar back out there. It might have been a corky because he's strapping on that sort of lower leg, doesn't he? So let's hope that's what it was.
Saw a corky in the earlier game, Ash Johnson.
They can be nasty. Yep.
Got shot.
Toss back into play. Blitzhouse on the bottom of the pack. Can't wrestle it clear.
Got to keep it moving. That's what you do have to do on a cold Melbourne night.
Segler and English once more. English does the roving as well. Hand pass to Bailey Smith. Back to Daniel. Kick. Beautiful pass. Spotted Waitman at left half forward. Takes a bounce. Runs to 70 from home. Drives it as deep as he can. Ugle-Hagen's there. Stewart flying in from the side. Takes the intercepting mark for Geelong. 30 out from his defensive goal. Spots Myers free. Drives it to him at right half back.
Here goes Myers. That unique kicking style. Just chips it short. How about a mark? Close. In the long sleeves under the roof. Chips it over the top to Segler. Segler will drive it long. Rowan's down there. Richard spoils. Loose footy, Liam Jones onto it. He's tackled quickly. 20 out from his defensive goal and will get a ball up. Cats, of course, in their white with the blue hoops, their white shorts. The Bulldogs in their royal blue with the one red and one white hoop.
Hawkins down to Blitzhouse. Kick was partially smothered. Spills out towards DeRay. Awkward landing for him. Gary Rowan tries to charge his way through. Out past to Hawkins. Centering kick looking for close. It's just over the top of him. He gathers in the right forward pocket. Dodging and weaving. Back to Ollie Henry. Run down by Artie Jones. Great tackle, unrewarded. Spills to Bontempelli. Kicks up the wing. Segler was waiting for it. Takes the intercepting mark for Geelong between wing and half forward Dogs side.
Segler goes short. Kolajasny. 2 good kicks from home. He'll set it up towards the pocket. Blitzarves, he's down there. English too. In from the side. Cameron can't take the mark. Gardner applies the tackle. And the umpire holds his arms to his chest. A ball up. Dogs by 2 points. 20 minutes into the first term. Up it goes. Hawkins doing the ruck work. Spills down to Treloar. He'll snap towards centre half back. Bouncing ball. It'll favour O'Donnell for the Dogs.
And Lobb gets the hand pass out wide. Baker's on the dash. City side takes a bounce. Trying to find a way away from Mullen. He did offer a good chase. Just forced him to double back. Hand pass to Lobb. It kicks up towards Ugelhagen. Stewart closed so quickly. Gets a hand in there. And sees it out of play. Centre wing on the City side. Bulldogs by 2 points through 21 minutes in the opening term.
There's that stability behind the ball, Lukey, that we talked about pre-game. Just when Baker did find time and space on the far wing, he just looked up and Stewart was in line and they had an outnumber. Ugelhagen was actually 1 against 2, so they couldn't go forward.
Dogs dominated inside 50s early. It's 10-7 now the way of the Cats, who've had a good 5 or 6 minute period. Bontempelli brought down by Blitzavs. Spills the way of Baker for the Dogs. Hand pass to Bailey Smith. Between wing and half forward. Kicks towards Ugelhagen. There's Tom Stewart once more. Cuts in front and takes the intercepting mark. Chips it into the corridor. Nevitt takes the mark. He looks for options. Blitzhouse has to wait for a few moments. Takes the mark in front of Liam Jones. Feeds the hand pass away to Bruin. Through the middle to Hawkins. Can't take it with his right hand. Picked up by O'Brien. Hand pass to Daniels for the Dogs. Kick missed Treloar on all fours. He gets it in. Hand pass to Richards. Dragged down. Here's a chance for the Cats. Closes onto it. He's got Myers all on his own. He can play on. Hand pass over the top to Cameron. Works it around Gardner. And the easiest of goals for the Cats. Puts them in front for the first time tonight. The Bulldogs breaking down across half-back. And Geelong able to capitalise, and they lead by 4 points. 3-1-19 to the Bulldogs, 2-3-15. The Cats with the last 3 goals of the match.
Oh, it's a turnover game, isn't it? And again, that was Caleb Daniel. Just a sloppy kick. And the mistakes have been corridor mistakes too, Beach. And you know, Geelong at their best. We know they haven't been at their best, but we know the good teams punish on the turnover, and they're able to do that. So again, just the Dogs shooting themselves in the foot. And they had possession of the footy.
Now, the right decisions, that is actually just poor execution, right? Yep. So,
Caleb Daniel, we know, is one of the best kicks in the comp. And even then, it was a really good tackle from Ollie Henry, actually, because they still had enough time to get the ball to a teammate, the Dogs, but the pressure from Ollie Henry caused that secondary turnover, and they had numbers hurt of the ball. But yeah, it'll be frustrating Luke Beveridge at the moment because they certainly had enough of it. They just keep turning it over.
English goes early in the ruck. McRae on the bounce. Handball away to Treloar, who gives it off to Liberatore. Good mark, English. Going back with the flight. Immediately gives it off to Treloar. On the burst. Pulls the trigger and puts the Dogs back in front. The Dogs with the immediate response. They're 3-3-21. Geelong 3-1-19. 24 minutes into the first term.
Tim English, that really just opened up the game. He was brave going back with it. Took the mark, got the ball back in motion, which the Bulldogs forwards did a really good job to lengthen and get back towards the goals to give the space for the mids then to run into. And it's pretty straightforward from there. A guy that Calf didn't look too bad right then, but a quick response again from a stoppage where we said they'd have an advantage at the start of the game. So at the minute they're on top there. Liberatore involved, said English, really brave mark, overlap run from the mids, pretty easy finish in the end.
The voice of Brendan Goddard alongside Luke Ball with you for Saturday Night Footy. Back in the middle. English just took it out of the hands of Segler. Gets the clearance. Kicks it long inside 50. Almost the mark from Sam de Koning. Norton picks it up. Hand pass to Bailey Smith. Around the body. Vacant goal mouth. It bounces through. Two in quick succession from the Dogs to skip out to an 8-point advantage. 4-3-27 to Geelong 3-1-19. And what a centre clearance from Sim English.
Well, yeah, I just said I'd gone from saying it's been a turnover game to this point, and we highlighted the Dogs apparent on paper, especially advantage Beach in the middle of the ground for a stoppage, and on cue, bang bang, 2 centre bounce goals, and Tim English. I mean, it's a big ask to John Segler. Tim English, I think, is, if not certainly top 3 ruckman in the comp, in the All-Australian conversation. He's a 90% man too, big tank, we know that. Segler, not a massive tank, so it's a really big challenge for him today. We know he'll probably get some support from blitz halves, but Tim English, the last 2 plays out of the centre, goodness me, he's another midfielder when the ball hits the ground too.
Dogs with a couple of goals in a couple of minutes. English trying to follow up at ground level, going intra-law. Wrapping him up is Atkins.
Yep.
Holding the ball, says the umpire. Free kick will go to blitz halves. Atkins, the second man in on the tackle. So the Swiss Army knife of the Cats. He gives it off to Stewart. Around the back, long kick inside 50. Hawkins roves off hands and swings through another.
Shootout.
It is an absolute shootout under the lid at Docklands. It's back to 2 points. The Bulldogs 4-3-27. The Cats 4-1-25. 26 minutes into the first.
But if the Cats actually do a pretty good job around clearances and through stoppage, then I think they're going to get plenty of looks going forward. And there's a really good contest with Gary Rowan just coming from about 4 deep and creating that contest. 3 Bulldogs, actually 3 keys of the Bulldogs all went up and flew for the mark. Tom Hawkins just stayed down, but Gary Rowan, Tom Hawkins too smart, realised he didn't have to when he had Gary Rowan coming from 4 deep to actually make the contest. And a pretty straightforward finish from in front of goals. But saying if they just able to get on top, I know it was a really good contest on replay by Rowan.
Well, it was Liam Jones who's been so good in the last month at coming off and spoiling and clearing the zone. Just let it get over the back, so he'll be disappointed with that.
Back in the middle, Blitzhouse wins down the tap for the Cats, trying to give them a clearance out of the middle of the ground. Atkins slid in. On the very bottom of the pack, Mark O'Connor will get a free kick against Jack McRae. Wants to feed the camp pass to Jessa Cameron from left half forward, inside 50, down low for Rowan. Hawkins trying to gather behind. Liam Jones did well defensively against him. DeRay slides in, hand pass straight to the boundary line. Anthony Scott was there, and the umpire says throw it in.
It's looking dangerous, aren't they, every time it goes in there, the Cats. Either in the air, but particularly on the ground. Stengel close, looking lively. Rowan.
They had 3 goals in the first 10 minutes. The Bulldogs kicked the first 2. Had 5 goals in the last 9 minutes. As this game has come to life. Hawkins doing the ruck work against English. Trying to throw a bird at it. He was held. And the Tomahawk will get the free kick. Tim English pleads his case. Not a lot in it with both arms around the body, and maybe that was Hawkins' intention. Trying to leave a space in front.
Tim English saying that he threw his arm back and hit him in the cheek. I think
if he's not a forward, he's not getting there, is he?
Just let that one go, I think. He's a bit stiff there, Tim English. Often what happens when the ball hits the ground, I mean, maybe he had the right arm around the waist. We know he's so good, so dangerous in that situation, Hawkins, but not a hoop in that.
The 11-time leading goal kicker for the Cats in the left forward pocket, looking to return Geelong to the lead. He puts through his second, and the Cats all of a sudden have found their spark. Geelong by 4 points, 5-1-31 to the Bulldogs, 4-3-27. 28 minutes gone, opening term on ABC Sport.
Well, Blitzarves is now in the ruck, so it's a really good opportunity for Geelong just to continue. You may mention that English is a 90% man, but you then got to have to chase Blitzarves as opposed to Segler in general play. Just a bit more of an ask of English and his ability then, and the effect that they may have on him, leading into late in the game, just to work him over now. Obviously that, then I guess you're putting him in there and then taking him out of as a midfielder, as an actual inside mid, so he's now in the ruck, but they've now plugged the hole with Stengel and O'Connor in there, so that creates another bit of a gap, but I think it's a pretty good move just to have Blitzarves on English.
Hawkins now the first multiple goal kicker of the game. English hooking it down. Blitzarv's trying to pick it up at ground level. It spits out to English. Forward handball releases Bontempelli. Low ball for Jamara. Ugle-Hagan marks right on the arc of 50. And he points to the goals.
Sorry, Ben, you wouldn't mind that service, would you? As a forward, leading out, he really only had a couple of metres separation, if that. Jamara Ugle-Hagan, beautiful kick from Bontempelli.
Trots in Ugle-Hagan. The drop punt is out to the left. Never looked like going through the major opening. Dogs move along to 4-4-28. Geelong 5-1-31. Cats by 3.
And in Darwin, it's the Crows by 24 points. Adelaide with the last 5 goals of the match. Stuart Long out of defence, up towards Zach too. He couldn't take the mark. Dale sport it down. Nevitt's onto it. Hand pass to Isaac Smith, running the city wing. Kicks over the head of Gary Rowan. And Tim O'Brien takes the intercepting mark. Partially touched by Smith, but Liberatore advances it down the city wing. O'Connell marks for the Dogs. He looks inside 50. Lob sets himself. Clears him and to Koning.
Free kick.
Free kick, chopping of the arms.
Ooh. Looks a bit rusty, doesn't he, Sam de Koning? Obviously only second game back, and he's wearing the mask coming off the nose surgery, so it just looks a little bit, his timing's off. He just looks a little bit rusty. Yeah, wow.
Tunnel vision.
Yeah, we're not.
And blinkers.
But we both had issues with our honkers over the journey, BJ. Never wore anything like that.
I was actually looking on the other day and looking how bent it is.
Rory Lobb from the right forward pocket to put the Bulldogs back in front. He steers it straight through the middle. And after Hawkins kicked the previous 2 goals at one end, the Western Bulldogs spearhead gets involved at the other. Bulldogs back in front by 3 points, the 4th lead change of this opening term through 31 minutes. 5-4-34 to the Cats 5-1-31.
It was well done by young James O'Donnell too, BJ, because what he did, he had, and he spent a bit of time next to Tom Stewart, and we know what Tom Stewart wants to do, but he was just smart. He timed his lead really well, and it drew Stewart out of that back 50.
Well, that's the second
where he's
time
been
he's
so
done
effective.
it.
Yeah. So he's a smart player.
Looks like it's a deliberate matchup where he's trying to get to him and just stay in that dangerous space. A lot of guys have played this role in the past and they just get caught up in getting to poor spots trying to get like short 45s or short kicks. But as long as you stay a kick away from the ball, you're always engaging those players because that's where they'll find themselves.
From the restart, Bruin with the clearing kick. Mark taken by Myers. Attacking edge of the square here for the Cats. Kicks around the corner for Hawkins. In front of him, English. The big ruck takes the defensive mark. So the Bulldogs back with it. 40 out from their own goal.
Possession 7. Sorry, Benny, for Tim English. Getting it done at both ends of the ground.
Goes laterally to Gardner, who moves it on to Liam Jones. He'll kick back towards the wing. Lobb will run and jump it at Waitman in front. Knocks it down. It spills towards Richards. Back feeds a handball to Geray. He'll kick back towards the logo. Looking for Norton. Loose footy. De Koning there for the Cats. Gives it off to Cameron. He'll kick into the middle of the ground.
Where Myers takes the mark at the back edge of the centre square. Goes short to Atkins. Just to the right-hand side of the centre circles. Hand pass to Tui. Corralled by O'Donnell and Waitman. So feeds it wide to Sam de Koning. Up towards half forward. Bruin takes the mark. He's 55 metres out from goal. Ollie Henry wants it in the pocket. Tui skirting around the back. He'll receive it now. Can he barrel from there? Hand pass wide to Jack Henry. Trying to sidestep Williams. Back to Tui. Deep in the right forward pocket. Low piercing kick. Ooh, almost got there. A great lunging effort by Tim O'Brien, who got a hand to it to deny the goal. The Bulldogs leading by 2 points. 33 minutes gone opening term.
Dale brings it in quickly. Out to Scott. He marks it right half back. Scott will kick out towards the wing. Towards English and Norton, both with hands on it. Neither can complete the mark. Mullins there as well for the Cats. Eventually Guthrie tackled. Wrenched to ground and a ball up on the city wing. Bulldogs leading by 2 points. O'Donnell's been good earlier. I've got a good story about the O'Donnell family involving both of you two as well, which I'll tell at some point.
Look forward to it.
Jack McRae across half back, up to the wing. Stay tuned for that. As Isaac Smith tries to get the hand pass away, but as the siren sounds for quarter time. Pretty entertaining opening term. 10 goals scored, in which it was 5 goals apiece. The Bulldogs lead by 2 points, courtesy of Rory Lobb with the last goal of the quarter. 5-4-34 to the Cats, 5-2-30. Goal kickers for the Bulldogs. Individuals to Treloar, Bailey Smith, Lobb, Richards and Norton. While for the Cats, 2 goals to Tom Hawkins, individuals to Tui, Cameron and Close. Meanwhile, up in Darwin, it's the Crows who have kicked... Well, they had kicked 5 goals on the trot after the Gold Coast Suns kicked the opening goal. It's 5-1-31 the Crows' way to the Gold Coast Suns 2-3-15. So a goal just coming to the Gold Coast Suns there. And as always, you can get in touch with us on the SMS 0437 774 774. As Marcus in South Melbourne has done, the guys in Perth were talking about the best mustaches in footy. The Bulldogs doctor surely beats Zach Tui. Doesn't have a bad one. Gary Zitterman.
Yep, very good.
And Anthony's listening from Wild Dog Valley, back in front of the fire pit. Another night of Bally's raspberry tones.
Oh, Wild Dog Valley. I'm still going to.
Where is that?
Yeah, well, it's a Gippsland way, I think, from memory. I've got to get there one day, Benny.
We'll have a look into that.
Got to get around the fire pit with the Wild Dog.
Sounds like a good way to take in the Saturday night footy. Bulldogs made 2 points on Grandstand AFL on ABC Radio, ABC Sport Digital, and now streaming on the ABC Listen app.
What's the best thing in the world that's also on the ABC Listen app? The footy! This season, get your footy live and ad-free on the ABC Listen app.
Right through for a goal.
AFL, NRL, men's, women's. Whatever you fix, we've got you covered.
She's got it. Bye-bye. See you later.
Every goal, try, mark and tackle. Called by ABC Sport's expert commentary team.
Set. Bingo.
AFL and NRL, live and ad-free. Get it on the ABC Listen app.
Grandstand AFL.
Now streaming every match on the ABC Listen app.
Look for the AFL button.
Waitman's hand pass forward to Liberatore. Back to Richards with speed. Gets the centre half forward. Bacon goalmouth. Bounces and gets there. Dogs for the opening 2 goals of the match. Picked it up by Zach Tui for Geelong. Hand pass to Jessica Cameron. Just needs to find a way past Richards. Hand pass in forward to Myers. Now back to Tui. Sidesteps around Dale. Swings onto his left and gets it there. Here's a chance for the Cats. Closes onto it. He's got Myers all on his own. He can play on. Hand pass over the top to Cameron. Works it around Gardner. And the easiest of goals for the Cats. Puts them in front for the first time tonight.
Treloar, who gives it off to Liberatore. Good mark, English. Going back with the flight. Immediately gives it off to Treloar. On the burst. Pulls the trigger and puts the Dogs back in front.
Norton picks it up. Hand pass to Bailey Smith. Around the body. Bacon goalmouth and bounces through. 2 in quick succession for the Dogs.
So the Swiss Army knife with the Cats. He gives it off to Stewart. Around the back. Long kick inside 50. Hawkins rolls off hands and swings through another.
Shootout.
It is an absolute shootout under the lid at Docklands.
The 2023 AFL season.
On radio,
ABC Sport Digital.
and now streaming on the ABC Listen app.
Earlier today, Port Adelaide by 55 points over the Hawks, Collingwood by 63 points over the West Coast Eagles, and the Bulldogs by 2 points at quarter time here at Docklands. Matt Clinch and Ben Cameron calling the action, Warren Borden down on the boundary. The thoughts of Luke Paul and Brendan Goddard, your experts on ABC Sport.
Entertaining quarter indeed, Beach. We'll just say hopefully it continues this way. Both teams looking dangerous ahead of the ball. It was actually Geelong who had more inside 50s for the quarter, and we spoke about, on paper anyway, the Bulldogs' apparent advantage through the middle of the ground. Well, if you had us into Chris Scott, we'll give you all square, contested footy all square across the ground and +5 at the clearances. He would have taken that, and you know, you'll hope that that continues throughout the game as well. So an area that we thought the Dogs might be on top. Certainly the Cats were able to at least negate and if not, you know, tip it in their favour as that quarter went on. The Dogs went in 11 times for 9 shots, so that's an issue. Even though, you know, albeit Tom Stewart at times has looked like he's been pretty hard to get around, the Dogs' efficiency going forward has been really strong. The Cats have looked dangerous, have gone in 16 times with only 7 shots, so that's an interesting stat because it's felt like they've been more dangerous than that, hasn't it? It was probably more so when the ball's hit the ground. Yeah, the Cats, yeah. And a lot of the time they've relied on turnover. We spoke about the Bulldogs' uncharacteristic skill errors, especially coming out of their back half and kicking, poorly executing kicks, especially in the middle of the ground, resulting in a couple of goals. It was Daniel at one stage, it was Richards who's had a good quarter but made a mistake, and Bailey Dale, who we know will always go for the risky kick, back himself in to make that kick, but just a couple of times he's turned it over. So it's been a really entertaining first quarter, though.
Yeah, I think besides a bit of English brilliance that was involved in two of those direct goals, that the Bulldogs would be behind a little bit. But what those skill areas did, they didn't just score directly off them, but it allowed Geelong just to lock the ball in their forward half, and from that, then they're able to set up structurally behind the ball, so they're really stable, that if Bulldogs do win it, but they get an opportunity to go back re-entry. So, the efficiency of Bulldogs kept them in the game, again, two of them from clearances, and that's a really good opportunity when it's an opportunity for the forwards, in this instance being the Bulldogs, to actually get a bit of isolation on the Geelong defenders. So if they do win it from clearance, because you're able to set up, you're able to generally get the structure that you want, both in front and behind the ball. So it actually gives them a really good chance. So, Geelong, you highlighted, Paulie, the midfield battle around stoppages, in particular in clearances. If they can do a pretty good job, and even the contest, they've got plenty behind the ball stability and enough experience, but their firepower ahead of the ball is one of the best in the competition.
Just watching Jeremy Cameron, he's just a magnificent athlete. Just he obviously has the licence to get high up the ground. We've seen him win the ball in the back half of the ground, and then once he does that, he turns and just goes with absolute speed. Releases back forward. He's just a joy to watch.
Second quarter set to get underway. Bulldogs leading by 2 points. English resumes his battle with Segler. English wins down the tap. Segler had it for a moment. Tackled by Bontempelli. Spills to Blitzavs. Sends Geelong inside 50. Looking for Hawkins. Won't get to him. Gardner got a touch onto it. Hawkins came racing up. Gardner tries to re-win it. Hand pass to O'Brien. Works it away to Caleb Daniel in the middle of the ground. Hardy Jones up in front. Couldn't take the mark. Bailey Smith brought down by Segler. Got the hand pass to Treloar. To English. Back to Bailey Smith. He chips it forward to Hardy Jones. Has it between wing and half forward for the Bulldogs. He looks into the corridor and then looks out boundary side.
Had to go. They had 3 one-on-ones ahead of the ball there, young Jones. He just had to wheel and go.
So Baker will look into the pocket for the Dogs off the hands of Lobb. Waitman can't quite run it in, and it will trickle out a player. Throw in right forward pocket for the Dogs.
Just have the courage to wheel and go and make a decision on the turn, we used to say. So you highlighted Bully, just 3 on 3, and then 3 seconds goes by, and then there's about 6 guys contesting for that mark.
Dogs by 2 as it was at quarter time, palming it down back towards the boundary. Lob onto it, Zach Guthrie. He's pinned up, and a ball up. 45 out from the Dogs goal, close to the boundary line. English slaps it down, it almost rebounds back to him. Tanner Broon fighting after it. Eventually Treloar extracts it, runs onto the footy, gives it back to Bailey Smith. High kick towards the pocket, floating towards goal. It'll tumble through for a behind. So the lead out to 3 points for the Dogs, 96 seconds into the second term.
Zach Guthrie has the footy in hand. His brother Cam had surgery on his toe, and that might be season over for him in a race to try and get back. Out to Sam de Koning. Takes the mark at right half back. Releases College Asney. High ball to the city wing. Dogs are well set. DeRay takes the mark. Clinging it to his chest. Centre wing, city side. Bulldogs by 3 points. Caleb Daniel runs around the back. He ignores that. Sends it as long and high as he can towards Ugle-Hagan, who flies in the pack. Can't come down with it. Stewart picks it up for Geelong. Hand pass to Atkins at half back. Links up with Mullen. Gives it away to Tui. Kicks around the city wing up towards Gary Rowan, who takes the mark. Centre wing, city side. He's got close free. He marks it right half forward. Looks up inside 50 over Hawkins' head onto the chest of Jezza Cameron. Hard against the boundary in the right forward pocket for the Cats.
That's where he likes it. Back in here, he's his best in the comp at these sort of kicks. Jeremy Cameron, particularly on his preferred side. Beautiful transition, wasn't it? Great transition.
Yeah, it was just a bit of a breakdown. I think it was one of the Bulldogs' high half backs just letting close. I think they got involved.
Cameron steps out, snaps across his body. Hits the very top of the left goalpost, 3/4 of the way up. Swinging it across his body. 1 goal, 1 so far for Jeremy Cameron. The Bulldogs leading by 2 points.
Fair roost on the snap, wasn't it?
Yep.
Dale with the kick in, short to the left back pocket. Daniel running beyond the defensive 50, pinpointing a pass by foot to Duray. He'll kick around the city wing. Norton marks unopposed. Gives off the handball to Bailey Williams. Kicks the Dogs inside 50. and right onto the chest of Cody Waitman, who marks 40 metres out as good as directly in front.
Well, you talk about transition, Beach. That's as good as it gets too.
It was just slow decisions, though, from Geelong, which you don't see very often, but it was Tui and Stewart that got caught higher up the ground that just didn't make quick. It was Cameron, actually. My bad. But normally there's a concertina effect that one comes forward, the next is coming, but they were just a little bit slow on that Geelong, which you don't see very often.
Cody Waitman to finish off the Dogs' neat work. He duly does. The Dogs extend their lead. Back out to 8 points. 6-5-41 plays 5-3-33. 4 minutes into the second term on Grandstand AFL.
But it's not often you see a good team like Geelong scored against from a kick out like that, is it? We know that there's really only 3
scoring sources.
Is what I was after, Bird. Yeah.
Well, just put it this way, it's
that one's at least, isn't it? There's under 2%.
Melbourne were the best at it last year, and they didn't allow 1 goal
from a kick out.
From a kick out the whole year. And they had the best percentage of keeping the ball in their front half, so opposition team not being able to actually get it past halfway, which you get it to halfway or the middle of the ground, that's a win for the kicking team.
Absolutely, that's right. Well, not only did they get it past halfway, but Geelong didn't get near it, did they? That was uncontested mark, 4 in a row.
First goal the second quarter. Dogs out by 8 points. Bruin gets the clearance of Geelong. Kicks towards close in a wrestle with O'Brien. Is able to get the hand pass forward. No room for Myers to try and break away from the tackle. Bailey Dale takes him over the boundary line for a throw in. Right half forward for the Cats, who trail by 8 points.
Battle down there, isn't it? Geelong small forwards against the attacking halfbacks of the Dogs. Close and Myers against Dale and Daniel of the Dogs.
Mark Blitzav's issuing orders from the throw in. As Atkins goes to Bontempelli, tapped down the way of Liberatore, kicks the Bulldogs up the city wing, bounces wide of Zach Guthrie, to Conan gathers, keeps it in play, hand pass to Guthrie, works it forward to Atkins, no room to move, hand pass down low, Zach Guthrie becomes the tackler on Waitman, and the umpire will ball it up city wing, with the Bulldogs leading by 8 points.
Been a game of runs so far. Dogs with the first 2, Geelong with the next 3, Dogs with another 2, the Cats with 2 more, and then the Dogs with the last 2. That's how we arrive at this 8-point lead the way of the Western Bulldogs. Doesn't come out of the phone box, and another ball up. Neutral territory city wing just inside the boundary line. Segler slaps it down. Bailey Smith, handball out to McRae for the Dogs. Handball can't quite get to Bond. Atkins gets involved, and he's legged as well. So Atkins will get the free kick for the Cats. Just forward of the wing, tries to wait his kick and kicks it out of bounds on the full. Looking for Blitzov, so the Dogs to get it back at left half back. They lead by 8 points. 6 minutes 40 into this second term.
Healthy crowd, isn't it, Clinchy?
Yeah.
Level 3, pretty full.
I think it would be somewhere over 40,000. It's Caleb Daniel with a beautiful kick into the middle of the ground, finds Bontempelli, up to Ugle-Hagan, who marks in the middle of Docklands. He's got lob deepest. He swings onto his left-hand side, trying to get him, and Waitman, English went back. Tim English juggles the mark. Off balance, lob came charging out. English had it all under control, and he takes the mark in the left forward pocket.
He got every bit of it. Just pushing forward there, and off-ball side, just making Segler really defend him, which is one of his strengths as we talked about it. So that's where the matchup of Blitzar's just is a better one for mine, but he obviously wants to spend a bit more time as an inside mid, so Segler's just got to go with him and show him the respect.
Tim English starts his approach in the left forward pocket, looking to try and extend the Western Bulldogs lead. He gives it a good roost, and he hits the post. Into the right goal post. Cameron at one end, English at the other. And the Bulldogs lead by 9 points. 7 minutes gone, second term.
Guthrie taking the kick in, runs to the pocket, handball to Stewart, thumps it long towards the wing. Blitzarves juggles it. Oh, not paid the mark, so sweeps the handball forward. Tui slaps it on. Stengel doesn't quite sit for him. He slaps it on. But it was out of play, throwing on the wing. Bulldogs by 9. As I said, the Bulldogs have kicked the last 2 goals of this game on either side of the quarter-time break. Umpire brings it in. English knocks it down onto the logo on the wing. Running over the top of it, McRae. Eventually the Cats come away with it. Tui, low kick around the wing. On the bounce, gathered by Meyer, tackled quickly. Gets a handball away. Now English. He'll be able to kick into the middle of the ground for the Dogs. On the edge of the centre square, Jure marks.
Backwards inside defensive 50. Gardner takes the mark in front of Cameron. It's the hand pass around the back to Caleb Daniel. Out to Liam Jones, who marks it right half back. Looks to Lobb running the Dogs wing. Stewart was in front for Geelong. Brought it down to College Asney. Tackled by Ugelhagen. Gets the hand pass to O'Connor. To Ollie Henry. Feeds it to Nevin. Inside 50. Jezza one-on-one. Gardner shoved him. Illegally, said the umpire.
Did he though?
What do you think?
Well, he just didn't need to. I mean, it was so obvious because he had the hands direct, straight outstretched. It was just a panic move from Iden. And look, how can you blame him? I think he's probably the best player in the comp.
Cameron wastes no time. Swings onto his left and puts through his second. It's a big price to pay for Ryan Gardner. And the Cats cut the lead to 3 points the Dogs' way. 6-6-42 to Geelong 6-3-39. 9 minutes gone, second term on ABC Sport.
You know what it's like, though. It's almost a natural reaction just to keep hold. It's not a push. It's just hands just resting on his back, just to find some contact. So, and then Jeremy Cameron, being the experienced player he is, just puts a bit of mayo on it, and the kick was over his head, as you made mention.
It was, yeah. So he didn't need to do it. To me, it was a real panic. A 1 out. Jeremy Cameron inside 50. I get it. You feel for him a bit, but he had to read that the ball was going over the top anyway, and the umpires, there's 4 umpires now, they're looking for that. It was a little, little shove right in the middle of the back, not a heap in it, but 2 hands in the middle of the back. Just don't give him a chance, a reason to play it.
Bontempelli bursting out of the front of the centre bounce. His kick unmarked. Eventually Stewart able to get it on the boot. His kick, though, is in the path of Bontempelli, who runs onto it. Might have been dragged down. Umpire says no. College Asney picks it up for the Cats. Handball to Tui, to Buse, back to Tui. His handball knocked down. And O'Donnell picks it up there for the Dogs. Handball to Liberatore, kicks inside 50. McRae bursting in front of his opponent. Guthrie coming the other way. And he's able to claim it 30 metres out. Tight angle to the left-hand side.
Just resting forward of the ball there. I think McRae playing as a forward or the high half forward.
Dogs fans not happy, thought that the skipper should have got a free kick.
McRae gets it onto his left boot and reinstates the Dogs' lead. They're out by 9 again. 7-6-48 plays 6-3-39. 11 and a half into the second term. Matt Clinch, Ben Cameron, 300 gamer Brendan Goddard, Pies Premiership player Luke Ball.
Well, it was a slick bit of work from Adam Treloar. It was a blink and you miss it stuff. Just the handball back over the top. There was plenty of players out there. Looked like we might be getting a stoppage, but Treloar to Liberatore, quick hack kick, repeat inside 50 in your right beach. Jack McRae just bobbed up in space. Have a look at him now to see whether he's playing forward. Yeah,
he's sort of playing that
smart
sort of
play. He hasn't been, hasn't he?
forward role.
He has. Yeah.
The high half forward that comes up to a stoppage.
Yeah.
Extra mid.
Just gets the feel. I mean, the thought is he's such a smart player. He knows where to get the ball anyway, that you can do that in the front half.
There was a game early in the season where Luke Beveridge was quite animated, that clearly he was trying to get in to play a certain game style and was able to get on the scoreboard here. A secondary ball up in the middle of the ground. Blitzhouse slaps it down, but straight to the way of Bailey Dale for the Dogs. Kicks out in the city wing. Tough bounce for Richards. Onto it, Bruin. Trying to give it back to Tui. Lost it though. Hardy Jones to the Dogs. Hand pass to Bailey Smith. Kicks it out in front of Williams at right half forward. He's tackled. Atkins throws him into the turf. The ball spills clear. Richards gets eventually holding the ball. Almost to the crowd cheering for where was the whistle. And eventually it did come.
Illegal disposal. But they're the kicks that Bailey Smith's just got to hit. That was really evident and prominent in the Bulldogs.
Yep.
Or for the Bulldogs in the first quarter.
They were out, they should have been a forward entry.
Dogs
off the hook.
Dogs by 9 points as Atkins sends it long towards Rowan and Blitzhouse at half forward. Rowan was up early from the side. Spills to the back where Close is onto it for the Cats. Hand pass to Jeremy Cameron. Jams it onto his boot towards half forward. Stengel didn't fly. Gardner spoils it down. Caleb Daniel races after it. Happy to see it out of play in the left forward pocket for Geelong.
That McRae goal, the first time tonight that either of these two sides haven't kicked back-to-back majors. Jeremy Cameron kicking the goal before it. Dogs by 9, forward 50 stoppage here for the Cats. Eventually onto the footy, O'Connor, and knocking it out of play. So another throw-in. A little bit closer to their goal. Blitzarves to do the ruck work. Hawkins having a rest on the bench. Blitzarves knocks it down in front, bounces back towards Lobb. Trying to come through O'Connor. Blitzarves picks it up, handball away, stolen by Daniel for the Dogs. Releases Bailey Williams.
Turns it over straight to Jed Hughes of Geelong. Veers out to the right, gets past Ugle-Hagan. Long inside, 50, Rowan the target. Lob in from the side, spoils it out of play. Up against the right behind post with Geelong deep in attack. Bulldogs by 9 points. There's 2 points the Bulldogs way at quarter time. They've kicked 2 goals to 1 so far in this second quarter. Blitzavs tries to take it out of the ruck. The Tom Hawkins manoeuvre. He's tackled by a lob and the ball spills out of play.
Played a push here.
Push in the back and Mark Blitzhouse is going to get it, so...
Really? No, it's Stengel.
Well, yeah, I thought he paid... He signalled the wrong way, but I thought he paid the push to Stengel over the boundary line.
Dogs fans have just become aware of what's taken place. Bailey Smith gave him a shove as the ball went over the boundary line. Not a lot in it. But just a careless free kick to give away, and Stengel is going to try and work the angle. In the left forward pocket, 1 step outside the boundary, steps in, snaps across his body. He is all class. A marksman from hard up against the boundary. And the Cats close the margin back to 3 points of Bulldogs' way. 7-6-48 to Geelong, 7-3-45. A careless free kick results in a goal. And the Bulldogs' lead is cut to 3.
Still waiting to see the replay. I missed it. Oh, gee whiz.
Not a heap in it at all. But given the way that players kick these goals from that angle these days, it's, especially with the Tyson Stengel, it's as good as giving away a free kick 10 metres out directly in front. So bit of bad luck, I reckon. The Dogs the last 5 minutes, coupled with a little bit of sloppiness, it's just keeping the Cats in it. Gee, there's not much of that at all. He's very stiff.
Goal for goal and 2 goals apiece in the second term. Segler rises high to flick it down to Atkins. McRae, though, flicks out a handball. Bruin getting onto it. Close, gathers on the bounce, sweeps a handball to Myers. He chips it. On the end of it is Stengel again. And he's got the hot hand at the moment. Tyson Stengel. He'll go back to kick from goal, 25 out, slightest of angles.
It's really slick, though, wasn't it? Just a quick kick out of the initial centre square bounce from Bruin, I think it was, and then Close was really clean, just managed to find Brian Myers, who was that half forward coming off the square, got back into the contest. Half-back just dropped off him, as you said, the attacking half-backs from the Bulldogs, and he's super smart with a kick across the body to Stengel.
Snap last time, drop punt here, he's missing right. A let-off. Bulldogs lead back to 2 points, 17 minutes into the second term on Grandstand AFL.
In Darwin, it's Adelaide by 23 points over the Gold Coast Suns. As the dogs through Dale, brings it in to Caleb Daniel. Works it to Oscar Baker, who marks at left half back for the Western Bulldogs, leading by 2 points. 17 minutes gone, second term. Long down the city wing, looking for Norton in a wrestle with De Koning. De Koning trying to claim the mark. It's off hands, and Norton's now over the top. And the umpire will ball it up centre wing on the outer side.
That's why we love Aaron Norton. Just really, or if ever, gets outmarked. Out of position there, just found a way to bring the ball to ground.
Both rucks miss it. Bailey Smith's kick knocked down. Eventually Cody Waitman picks it up. High ball underneath it. The mask of Zorro can't take the mark on this occasion. De Koning comes out to Bailey Smith. Handball out to Baker. Dogs it half forward. High snap inside attacking 50. Big pack Forbes. Spills out to Waitman. Handball to Williams. Through traffic. Handball to Daniel. Pulls the trigger. Kicks the goal. And the Dogs are just keeping the Cats at arm's length. They're out by 8 points. 8-6-54 plays 7-4-46. 18 and a half minutes into the second. Brendan Goddard, Luke Ball.
I think the mistake was made, just Geelong in that contest. There was about 4 or 5 that actually flew, which then they'll just expose them on the outside. I think it was Bailey Smith who's good enough to pick it up, or was it Waitman that actually influences Waitman actually stayed down as a small, and then the halfbackers in the Bulldogs, Caleb Daniel being one of those, is finding himself high up the ground and getting involved in that play. Really good finish. It cost his body. Yeah, just lost that outside cover when they all did fly and got kind of sucked into the contest, the Geelong defenders and forwards.
Dogs with 3 goals to 2 so far in this second quarter. Segler can't break out of the middle of the ground. Footy locked to his chest.
It's that battle again, sorry Clinch, isn't it? I mean, the Geelong forwards, small forwards looking so dangerous, and then Daniel gets on his bike, gets forward and sniffs a goal himself. It's a terrific battle at the moment.
Segler wins down the tap to Atkins. Bruins hand pass, 2 slip for close. Daniel trying to duck out of a tackle, which is a good effort for a little man. Hand pass to Dale. Links up with English to Waitman through the middle. Globetrotter hand pass to Bailey Smith. Works it forward to McRae. Chips it out wide to left half forward. Baker Mark gets a 50. Vacant goal mouth. Goes bang and misses to the left-hand side. They worked it beautifully through the middle of the ground by hand, and Oscar Baker couldn't finish. Dogs by 9 points.
Really efficient going forward, aren't they, the Bulldogs? And that was, they start off the half-back flank, and Geelong actually just weren't able to lay a finger on them because they were too slick with their hands.
Zach Guthrie, long kick towards the wing. Flying up is Henry. Ball on the ground. McRae picks it up for the Dogs. Handball back to Ed Richards. Handball to Bailey Dale. Handball to English, who will wheel around and kick back inside 50. Going up O'Donnell. Can't take the mark. Scott at ground level. Trying to fight after it. Loose footy. Close is back for the Cats. Might have almost thrown it out to Zach Guthrie. Clear and kick towards the wing.
Stengel's first onto it, but he has to deal with Caleb Daniel. Taps it to his own advantage. Kept it in play. Daniel hanging on to him. Hand pass to Nevitt. Not taken high in the eyes of the umpire. Daniel slides in for a third effort. He locks the ball up on the Dogs swing. In front of the 2 benches with the Dogs leading by 9 points.
15 shots from 20 inside 50s the Dogs, Beach. Yep, you called it. Cats down to 11 shots from their 22. So,
Segler won it down to Bruin. Charging off the bench was Jamara Ugle-Hagan.
He just got in the way. He was on his way to the 450 and he just got in the way, Bruin.
Was that the suplex as he came charging through? Just escorted him to the turf. From the ball up, Atkins can't clear. Caleb Daniels socket forward for Stengel. Geelong have it at half forward. The Gardner races onto it. Sends it back up the wing. Setting himself was Kolajassi, but it clears his fingertips. Ugle-Hagan's onto it. Chips it forward to Arnie Jones. Couldn't take it cleanly. Not sure it was the intended target with Lob chasing out. Still a chance for Jamara. Ugle-Hagan's hand pass to Libba. He's tackled by Mullen. No whistle again. Nimitz thrown ragdoll. It spills away of Treloar. Hand pass to Waitman. Chips it towards Lob. Down low for Jack Henry. He can't take it. Arnie Jones slides in. Hand pass to Lob. Never wraps him up. It's reaching fever pitch. And the umpires have swallowed the whistle.
Jeez, great scrambling from the Cats, but I feel like the Dogs, how many opportunities they have to let them off the hook there.
Jamara's handball.
Norton wins the tap towards the top of the goal square. Handball away from De Koning. And then a clear and kick from Nevitt towards D50. Unable to mark English. He'll be paid the mark. Mark set 55 out. Crowded attacking 50 for the Dogs. They lead by 9 points. Just can't quite finish their work. Offering a lead, McRae. He marks no closer to goal. Out at right half forward. Where will he go with the kick? He'll set it up towards full forward. Poor kick. Hughes in the hole. He takes the intercept mark. 35 out from his defensive goal for the Cats. Dogs by 9 points. Nearly 23 played second term.
We just spooked their efficiency. Their last 2 inside 50s have been horrible. The Dogs really let the Cats off the hook. They've got all the momentum. The Cats can just take a breather now.
Dogs by 9 points. Adelaide by 29. Over the Gold Coast Suns in Darwin. Jack Henry long to the wing. Brother Ollie flying the pack. Spills down to Tom Stewart. Dribbles a kick into the middle of the ground. It might work for Myers as he picks up the footy. Releases Isaac Smith. They're downhill and Jeremy Cameron's onto it. He gathers at the top of the goal square. Can't get a boot to it. Great work by Liam Jones. He slides in and locks it up. Top of the defensive goal square. Umpire circles and will ball it up. He's a hard man to catch, Jeremy Cameron, when he's skiing downhill. And Liam Jones just got him with a hesitant fumble.
So the Cats' chance in attack. Hawkins tried to tap it onto his boot out of the ruck. Nothing doing. Loose footy. Not before the umpire said, let me ball it up. Right forward pocket. Gary Rowan bumped over. Wanted a free kick. Hawkins and English. English knocks it down. McRae coming through. Knocks it towards goal. Has to slap it through for a rush behind. So the lead back to 8 points. 24 gone, second term.
Caleb Daniel into the back pocket as he works it to Ed Richards. He wants to swing it around the city side boundary to Baker, who comes in more now to Treloar. He's got Liberal on his own in the middle of Docklands. He takes the mark. Now, not a lot on the Dock swing except for Tim English, who's striding from half back. Takes the mark in front of Bledsoe's. Got a shove as he kicks inside 50. You put him off. And Segler takes the intercepting mark in front of Lobb. Swings it out to left half back, and Zach Tui marks. Bulldogs by 8 points.
Tui goes back inside his defensive 50, and Zach Guthrie, the only Guthrie out there today. Brother Cam with that toe injury. Kicks laterally to Kolajasny, who marks, and he goes lateral into the right back pocket. And Jack Henry's there to mark. He'll chip it over the top to Buse. Cats in a kick mark style for the time being. Short to Izzy Smith. Dogs by 8 points. Closing in on half time. Smith will wheel and kick low. Trying to find Cameron. He sticks one hand up. Doesn't complete the mark. Now Bontempelli gets involved. Treloar onto the live footy. Handball to Duray. Handball to Baker. Chips inside 50 for the Dogs. Jamara can't gather on the bounce. Eventually it ends up in the hands of Kolajasny. And he'll get a free kick as well. So the Cats repelling the Dogs' advances again.
Kolajasny short to Isaac Smith. Barely 15. Swings it back inside the defensive 50 to Jack Henry. Marks at the top of the defensive goal square. Out to Zach Guthrie, who wants to try and get it to Tui. Norton flies in front, can't take the mark. Blitzovs comes racing in, spills out the way of Mullen. He's tackled by Norton. McRae's hand pass too slick for Scott. Tries to knock it back to McRae. Hand pass into the middle of the ground for Daniel. Quick release to Liberatore. Looks up inside 50. Kicks over the head of Oscar Baker. And racing back, a great mark from Jeremy Cameron. Doing it both ends to the Cats.
Again, I mean, outstanding for Cameron to get back and take the intercept mark, but just a poor execution of the kick inside 50 from the Dogs.
Cameron with a long kick to the wing, roving the pack is Buse. Forward handball to Blitzovs. Kicks just before English gets there. Cats to half forward. Rowan doesn't complete the mark. Goes again at ground level. Gardner there with him. His handball errant. Live footy. Gardner picks it up. Handball to O'Brien. Handball away to Richards. His handball onto Dale. He's tackled quickly. Free kick. Tanner Bruin, the offending party. And Caleb Daniel will have the kick at left half back. Bulldogs lead by 8 points. 27 into the second.
10 goals in the opening quarter. Just the 5 so far in this second quarter, where the Dogs have kicked 3-2. Biggest lead of the match was 12 points when the Dogs kicked the opening 2 goals of the match. Caleb Daniel called to play on at left half back. Tries to work it around the city wing on the bounce to Waitman. He gathers, spots Bontempelli free, good vision. Now O'Donnell's just come on from the bench. He doesn't see him. He goes straight and direct through the centre square and short to Richards, who veers out onto his left. He spots a player at left half forward. It's too wide for Oscar Baker. He just wheels it in. No, he didn't. Not before he crossed the boundary line. And a relieved Tom Stewart as the boundary umpire blew his whistle. Bulldogs at half forward, leading by 8 points.
Umpire eventually unfurls. English shoves Segler out of the way, takes it out of the ruck, thumps it into the forward pocket, and it will tumble out of throw in left forward pocket. It felt like O'Donnell, he ran onto the ground, he was in a heap of space, he could have almost skirted forward but was intent on...
Well, I think he's been told to go behind the ball for the last couple of minutes, so he had the coach's instructions ringing in his ears. first-year player.
Norton slaps it down, sockers it on inadvertently. Back to pick it up, Jack Henry for the Cats. Handball away to Nevitt. He'll kick off a step beyond defensive 50. Big pack forms. Out the back it goes. Izzy Smith galloping down the city wing. He'll stop, prop and bite off a kick into the middle.
Handball to Stewart, who's forward of halfway. He's got Tui on the outer wing. He sends it long and direct. Gary Rowan and Jones. It clears Liam Jones. At the back it ricochets off Close's boot. And gets out on the full. A bit unlucky for Brad Close again charging in.
Stewart just had to keep speed.
Wasn't it?
Speed on that ball. Had Bruin running past. I think he had two options. You just had to keep speed on that ball with all the Geelong forwards actually running back towards goals. A great kick coming back in ball from Smith to set it up.
29 minutes gone, second term. Bulldogs by 8 points. Long kick up their wing, intercepting mark from the O'Brien. Kick taken by Segler. Feeds the half pass around the back to Isaac Smith into the corridor. Zach Guthrie takes the mark at the back edge of the centre square. Out to the Docks wing for Zach Tui. Wheels onto his right, wants Nevitt. He takes it. Well positioned in front of Caleb Daniel. Zach Tui knew exactly where he wanted to get it. And Mitch Nevitt with a shot out to the left, about 45 metres out from goal.
It was really good ball movement. It was an intercept mark from Segler on that far wing, opposite interchange side, and then just shaping the ball to open side, which they had numbers and space, and then Tui actually had an opportunity to come back inboard, I think back to centre half forward, but found Nevitt, who's really good overhead.
It's been good too. Possession number 11, this one.
After the siren of half-time, the closer to a 2-point ball game. Mitch Nevitt ran through his second goal in AFL footy. A good finish right after the siren of half-time, which gives Geelong a real lift. The Bulldogs lead by 2 points, but they had their chances in that second quarter, and it finishes at 3 goals, 3 apiece, with the Dogs 8-7-55 leading Geelong 8-5-53. For the Bulldogs, goals to Treloar, Waitman, Bailey Smith, Lobb, McRae, Richards, Norton and Daniel. While for the Cats, 2 goals to Tom Hawkins, 2 to Jeremy Cameron, individuals to Tui, Nevitt, Stengel and Close. Half-time at Docklands, the Western Bulldogs leading by 2 points. Meanwhile, in the Northern Territory in Darwin, 20 minutes gone, second quarter, Adelaide leading by 23 points over the Gold Coast Suns. 8-4-52 to the Suns, 4-5-29, with a couple of goals to Taylor Walker for the Crows. Luke Ball and Brendan Goddard, your experts on ABC Sport.
Well, we talked about it in the first quarter. I think in the second quarter there, just early, the Bulldogs, late, just the Bulldogs, just with their skill, particularly by foot, just hurt them. They had a number of opportunities. Both teams actually looking quite dangerous when they do get the ball in hand. I wouldn't say there's a lot of, there always is, but there's not a lot of great kind of team defence ability to actually slow the opposition up. When both teams get it, they're able to get the ball in motion and get some really, really good looks going forward. But I think it was just the Bulldogs, I think for the first 20 minutes, I just highlighted probably a 3 or 4 minute patch where the Bulldogs hurt themselves with their skill areas, but it's their efficiency just going forward. They're nearly going at 70% there for a while. It was 15 scoring shots from just over 20 inside 50s, I think, there for a while. They ended up with 26 inside 50s for the half, but they're going extremely efficient rate there, which, generally the stability behind the ball, and when teams go inside 50 against Geelong, that's one thing they're really good at, is their ability to stand up, intercept marks in particular, but just be able to support each other, particularly in the air. But the Bulldogs just found a way, bringing the ball to ground. Their smalls got involved. And you highlighted Norton there at a particular time. He never gets out marks, and when he's able to run and jump at the footy, so he's either marking or bring it to ground, and then that's where I think they can really get a hold of Geelong when the ball hits the ground. And then we highlighted the midfield battle. I think Geelong would be really happy. It's obviously 2 points to Western Bulldogs. I just talked about their efficiency going forward with the difference, but Geelong are actually in front in the clearances 23-17, which we said the Bulldogs had a really big advantage, with English being arguably the best ruckman in the competition based on form and consistency of form, and then just the quality of the Bulldogs midfielders. You'd think they'd have the upper hand, but it's actually just the workmanlike efforts from Geelong in blitz halves. Atkins, O'Connor spent time in there. Stengel's found a little bit of time in there.
Yep.
Zach Tui is actually spending a bit of time in there. He's predominantly on the wing, but having a really good first half. But they're just doing a really good job. They got the attack, Geelong that is. ahead of the ball and the stability behind it to actually give themselves the best chance. But the Bulldogs, I think, for mine, just got to get on top in this second half and this third quarter just around clearances, because they got the skill and the ability and the class just to actually expose, I guess, the spread or the lack of spread that the Geelong do have in there with kind of their B-grade midfield that they got in the minute.
Yeah, I mean, it's the numbers are even and clearly the scoreboard's even. You're right. To me, the difference in that quarter was just that, especially the last 10 minutes, it felt like the Dogs had the upper hand. They just weren't able to capitalise and continue that efficiency going forward. And look, fatigue probably played a part, but it feels like they left a few easy shots at goal out there, didn't they, in that last 5 minutes? And Geelong, going back the other way, when they're attacking, when they're able to slingshot back and transition the footy with those dangerous small forwards, and they've looked really good tonight. I've really liked the look of Close, Myers and Stengel. I'm sure they've played a heap of footy, the three of them together.
Well, it's Myers and Close in particular that get high up the ground, which is why Caleb Daniel actually hit the scoreboard, because Close was actually trying to apply pressure and get involved defensively. But their ability then to get back, like you just highlighted, sorry to cut you off, but Caleb Daniel, Dale get caught up in offence higher up the ground because they do get up, but then their ability to get back quick and lengthen and get back in play, fall to the ball for Geelong. That's where they're catching out Caleb Daniel, who doesn't have great league speed, mind you. Bailey Dale has a little bit more, but that's where they're at ground level in particular. That's where they're really being exposed at the minute. And as you were highlighting before I cut you off, that's where they look really most dangerous.
Who would be more happy at halftime, Bally?
Oh no! I mean, it's a real. It does feel like this one's going to go the distance, doesn't it? Yeah. It has. It's been. And Benny, you called it, even on the scoreboard. It's been, little momentum shifts here or there. Again, I felt like the Dogs had it for the second half of that quarter, but weren't able to capitalise. So will that hurt them a bit? Both teams, we know it means a fair bit to them. Clearly, the Cats don't want to lose another one, and the Dogs want to keep in touch with that top four too, and don't want to lose a second in a row. So, been a fascinating first half, and I think the trends, I think that'll continue. Hopefully for us, hopefully they keep attacking that way, and hopefully for the supporters, it plays out to be a really exciting finish as well.
4 lead changes in the opening quarter, but the Dogs held sway since quarter time and lead by 2 points at the main break. 8:7:55 to Geelong, 8:5:53. We'll pause at Docklands to get the latest from the ABC newsroom.
Hello, this is ABC News with David Rowlands. The Department of Foreign Affairs says it's not aware of any Australian casualties in the Indian train crash. It says, however, that Australian officials in India are making urgent inquiries with local authorities to determine whether any Australians have been injured. Indian officials now say at least 280 people have been killed in the massive crash, which occurred in the northeastern state of Odisha. Up to 1,000 have been injured, and emergency crews are working to free hundreds still trapped in the wreckage. The Prime Minister has touched down in Vietnam's capital, Hanoi, where he'll spend 2 days meeting with leaders, including the country's new president, Vo Tung. Australian officials see Vietnam, which has enjoyed rapid economic growth over the past decade, as an increasingly significant player in Southeast Asia. Both countries are still negotiating a comprehensive strategic partnership flagged last year. Anthony Albanese says Vietnam is an important trading partner for our country.
Our two-way trade grew by some 40% last financial year. And one of the things that Australia has to do is we have to diversify our economic and trading relationships.
Ukraine's Defence Minister says Australia has agreed to provide further support to Ukraine, with details to be announced in July. Alexei Reznikov met with Australia's Defence Minister Richard Marles at the Shangri-La Dialogue in Singapore. In a statement, Mr Reznikov said he used the meeting to request Australia provide training to Ukrainian pilots, medical evacuation vehicles and electronic warfare against drones. Mr Marles has also been invited to visit Ukraine. The video platform YouTube has revealed it's ending its policy of deleting videos that make false electoral fraud claims that was introduced after Donald Trump falsely claimed the 2020 presidential election was stolen from him. More on this from the BBC's Mike Wendling.
YouTube did say that the policy curbed misinformation, but at the same time, it limited political speech, and it didn't meaningfully reduce the risk of violence or other real-world harm. So given the balance there between free speech and potential harm, the company has now decided to stop enforcing this policy. There was some language in the statement that said about the current political environment in America, but we don't really know why specifically YouTube decided to do this right now.
Back home in Victoria, police have recommenced an investigation into the school allegedly involved in former principal and accused abuser Mal Khalifa fleeing Australia in 2008. Beth Gibson reports.
Victoria Police have confirmed there's an ongoing investigation into offences linked to the Adass Israel School in Melbourne's southeast. In a letter from the Office of Victoria Police Chief Commissioner Shane Patton to former state politicians Ted Ballew and Philip Dalidakis, the Commissioner said the investigation was suspended during recent criminal proceedings against Leifer, but has now been reopened. In April, Leifer was found guilty of 18 sexual abuse offences against 2 former students between 2003 and 2007.
A woman has died and 2 of her children are in hospital after a house fire at Orange in the New South Wales Central Tablelands. Emergency services were called just before 6 o'clock this morning. A 10-year-old and 9-year-old boy have been treated for smoke inhalation. Police say a man escaped the blaze but suffered burns when he tried to re-enter the home. A 42-year-old man is in police custody following a car fire in Perth, which left his wife with burns to almost 40% of her body. Officers responded to a fire at Mount Helena just before 6:30 last night. The 33-year-old woman was airlifted to Fiona Stanley Hospital with burns to more than a third of her body. Her husband sustained minor burns and is assisting police with their inquiries. Police Inspector Glenn Barros praised the quick response from those who came to her aid.
It's tragic. A young woman has got significant burns to her body, which is going to take a long time to treat, and then the rest of her life she'll be impacted by that. Community members who are on scene immediately, they're going to be affected by what they saw.
To sport, and Australian opening batsman David Warner has announced he intends to retire from Test cricket after this summer's home series against Pakistan. Warner, who is set to open the batting for Australia in the World Test Championship final against India on Wednesday, said he wants to retire at his home ground, the Sydney Cricket Ground. The 36-year-old has played 103 Test matches so far. And in the National Rugby League, the winners today have been the New Zealand Warriors and the South Sydney Rabbitohs. This is ABC News.
For exclusive access to extraordinary people, stream great chats on ABC iView.
There's always 2 parts to every story.
With intimate interviews from Louis Theroux and ABC Off.
You can't afford to show weakness.
Emotional insights on Take 5 with Zan Rowe.
Music was always my way out.
And probing questions in Stuff the British Stole.
This is like art as a detective novel.
Great chats and fascinating facts whenever you like. Stream it all for free on ABC iView.
Grandstand AFL.
Now streaming every match on the ABC Listen app.
Look for the AFL button.
Duray, he'll kick around the city wing. Norton marks unopposed. Gives off the handball to Bailey Williams. Kicks the Dogs inside 50. And right onto the chest of Cody Waitman, who marks 40 metres out as good as directly in front. To finish off the Dogs' neat work. He duly does.
Ollie Henry feeds it to Nevin inside 50. Jezza one-on-one. Gardner shoved him illegally, said the umpire. Cameron waste no time. Swings onto his left and puts through his second.
And O'Donnell picks it up there for the Dogs. Handball to Liberatore. Kicks inside 50. McRae bursting in front of his opponent. Guthrie coming the other way. And he's able to claim it 30 metres out. Tight angle to the left-hand side. McRae gets it onto his left boot and reinstates the Dogs' lead. Comes out to Bailey Smith. Handball out to Baker. Dogs at half forward. High snap inside attacking 50. Big back Forbes. Spills out to Waitman. Handball to Williams. Through traffic. Handball to Daniel. Pulls the trigger. Kicks the goal.
To Isaac Smith into the corridor. Zach Guthrie takes the mark at the back edge of the centre square. Out to the Dogs wing for Zach Tui. Wheels onto his right, wants Nevin, he takes it. After the siren of half-time to close it to a 2-point ball game. Mitch Nevin rams through his second goal in AFL footy.
The 2023 AFL season.
On radio,
ABC Sport Digital.
and now streaming on the ABC Listen app.
Saturday night footy under the lid of Docklands. It's the Bulldogs who lead by 2 points in a close affair against the Cats. 8-7-55 to Geelong 8-5-53. Matt Clinch and Ben Cameron calling the action. Lauren Borden down on the boundary. Brendan Goddard and Luke Ball are your experts on ABC Sport. Earlier today it was Port Adelaide by 55 points over the Hawks, in which it was a dominant first half from Port Adelaide, but the Hawks fought back in the second half, putting 7 goals to 11. That's the power was 7 goals. 23-13, 151 to the Hawks, 14-12, 96. Meanwhile, at Perth Stadium, it was Collingwood by 63 points over the West Coast Eagles. 18-12, 120 to the Eagles, 8-9, 57. The Eagles got within 14 points on 3 occasions, but Collingwood closed out the second half in dominant fashion. Brodie Myercheck with 3 goals, Nick Dacos with 3 goals, and also 3 goals to Bobby Hill. And post-match, Akash Fodadar from the ABC Sport team caught up with Jack Crisp.
Jack Crisp has been good enough to join me after Collingwood's 63-point win over West Coast at Perth Stadium. Jack, you were challenged for a bit there throughout the middle of the game, but managed to come away with the win. How do you sum up the performance?
Yeah, no, they definitely gave us their best out there. But we came over here, willing to respect the game. We know they've got a great midfield as well, and they were really dominating us for obviously the most part of the game. We're getting smacked in clearances, and it was really going their way, so we'll put under the pump a bit. But to our credit, we stuck to, tucking into hard footy, getting our hands dirty, and then eventually being able to settle ourselves at the end of the third quarter with a couple of goals.
And when they were really pushing you in the contest, what was Craig McRae's messages at the quarter breaks?
So for the midfield, it's just more we're going to play off a body. They're getting beaten up really easy. Not beaten up, but it looks like they're beating us to the footy. They're out hunting us. So it came down to a work rate thing. And we knew they were also down to 2 on the bench as well, so just kind of keep that fast pace going, and then eventually we should be able to run over the top, which was nice that we did, but yeah, they really put us to the sword.
And a little milestone for you today as well, 200 consecutive games. What do you put the consistency and continuity down to?
Yeah, no, it's a great milestone. I'm very happy about it. Never thought I'd be here in a million years. Just had a dream to play footy when I was young, but a lot of preparation outside, obviously the 4 walls. I get a lot of treatment inside and do a lot of individual preparation, but I also do a lot of stuff outside on my own to look after my body. And then being able to mentally switch off with the kids and family at home, it definitely helps as well.
And now you sit 11-1, top of the ladder. Melbourne, another top 4 club in the big King's Birthday clash next week. How much do you look forward to that? Yeah,
it's obviously a wonderful occasion for the Big Freeze and MND. And the work that the 2 clubs have been able to do for the last 10 years has been fantastic. Again, we're really appreciative to be part of the special day. It is going to be another great game. Both in top 4. Highly anticipated. So get along, cheer us on, support the cause, and just have a great day.
And we've heard a bit this week about the take the stairs mantra at the club. Can you explain a bit about what that means?
Taking the steps. Yeah, well, obviously, whatever goals you have in life, there's obviously processes to do that, and there's the steps along the way to help you achieve those goals. So it's just a little bit of mantra stuff that we live by at the moment at the football club, making sure we're leaving no stone unturned, doing all the nitty-gritty work that we need to prepare ourselves to train the best and then execute on game day.
Great, Jack, thanks so much for your time and good luck next weekend.
Thanks for having me. Thanks, mate.
Jack Crisp with Akash Fodadar post-game. Collingwood with a dominant win in the end, but the West Coast Eagles had their moments. They got it back within 14 points on 3 occasions, but Collingwood end up winning it by 63 points. That volley, the talking point will be Jordan Ngoe for his bump on Elijah Hewitt. Looked like he got him high, passed the ball. It's concerning for Collingwood ahead of a big match on Monday.
It sure is, yeah. I think he's in for probably a month, and they've got the bye too, so even if it's, say, best case 3, it becomes 4, so just so frustrating, isn't it?
Having career best season.
Yeah, career best season. Look, it was a split-second decision, and there are thousands of them, obviously, that he makes, and he makes most of them pretty well. Let's be honest, and he has to this point. He has not put a foot wrong. Could be leading the Brownlow, as you said, Benny. So that's a blow for him personally. Obviously, a blow for the team because they lose a bit of that continuity. They get Melbourne this week, so that's a big game, and they have the bye. And I think Adelaide the week after that. So anyway, I mean the positive side of it, he gets to freshen up, do a good block of training, and he'll feel like he owes the team when he does come back, whenever that is, for that second half of the year. So, I think the positive is that the team's done the work, haven't they? So they can, and it's a good test. It's a good challenge to be a good, premiership team, a top 4 team. You need a squad of 30 to get deep. So, next batter up. Just on Jack Crowell, extraordinary effort, isn't it? Do you reckon when he was
he's happy with it?
Well, and so he should be.
Yeah.
He was the steak knives. It was pick 6, which was the goey for Beams, and then the steak knives of Jack. Do you reckon when he came down, they would have thought they'd get 200 games consecutively out of him? It's extraordinary.
Great steak knives.
Unbelievable. Great effort.
Consistent
Tough
across
game.
half-back, played in the midfield when they needed some extra depth. And
it's incredible you don't roll an ankle, catch a cold, catch COVID. We had COVID during this
period.
He's got
young kids, how's he not got a... Yeah, he would have had sniffles over the journey, but... No, it's a great effort.
Carry germs everywhere from daycare, don't they?
It's just some people who push through pain better than others.
That's probably a good point, Clinchy.
In the NRL, it's round 14, set of origins, so not all players are available. In the Saturday night fixtures, the Broncos leading 14 points to 6. In the earlier clash, it was South Sydney too strong for the Gold Coast Titans, 46-28. And the Warriors over the Dolphins, 30-8. There's also the A-League men's grand final taking place tonight. Central Coast Mariners lead at half-time, 2-1. So it could be a thrilling second half still to come with
Grand
City
final.
having been on top.
Who's the other team?
Central Coast Mariners.
Yeah, V.
Melbourne City.
Is it?
You weren't following Beach?
Yeah, no. Honestly, I didn't even know the State of Origin was on the other night.
Come on, Melbourne City.
It hasn't got a lot of coverage, the A-League Grand Final.
It's a little bit off Broadway. At halftime in Darwin, Adelaide by 17 points. The Gold Coast Suns kicked the last 3 before the main break. Here at Docklands, the Western Bulldogs lead by 2 points. Players are in position, and we're ready to go. Here's Ben Cameron on ABC Sport.
The Western Bulldogs leading by a couple of points, as they did at quarter time. Second half underway. English knocks it into the path of Liberatore. He's kicked towards half forward. McRae picks it up on the half volley. Handball to English. Handball to Baker. Handball away to Liberatore to try and finish it. He snaps towards full forward. Bouncing ball right forward pocket. Kolajasny onto it for the Cats. Handball to Tui. Time to stop. Prop. He'll kick beyond defensive 50. Going up. Unable to mark O'Brien. Coming through Mullen. Handball away to Blitzarves. Now the Cats are away.
Gave it to Rowan with speed. Kicks up towards Hawkins, who gets a few metres on Liam Jones. He can chip it over the top. The streaming inside 50 is Myers. He can play on, swings onto his right and bangs through the opening goal the second half inside a minute. Rowan with speed off half-back. Hawkins selflessly gave it off to Myers, who did the rest. And the Cats lead by 4 points in front for the first time since the opening quarter, just a minute in.
Well, it was those small forwards again, really. I know it's a bit of work up the field. Excuse me, but it was just Brian Myers' ability just to get goal side of Bailey Dale, which he spoke about at half-time. Bully, you were highlighting before I cut you off, but getting up the ground and then just almost enticing the half-backs to get involved, being the half-backs of Bailey Dale, Caleb Daniel, and then just beating him on the way back, getting goal side of them and not being able to catch them. So it's really good work. As we see here, he's actually just caught in two minds, just whether to get involved in offence, go over to the contest, and Brian Myers just lengthened, worked really hard forward to get involved.
From the restart, Atkins a handball to Blitzarves. He'll kick the Cats back inside 50. Rowan a run and jump at it, drops the mark. At the back, Gardner, handball away for the Dogs to Baker. He'll kick on the left, overshoots the target. Mullen onto the footy for the Cats. Handball errant. Henry knocks it back towards the wing. Liberatore goes and gets it. Handball to Baker again. Dogs with it. He'll kick neatly to Liberatore. Handball away to O'Brien. Look out! Nearly run down. Just gets the kick away. Unable to mark Ugle-Hagan. Spills to Bontempelli. Drives the Dogs towards full forward. Norton spoils. O'Donnell follows up. Dribbles his kick on goal under pressure. And misses to the left-hand side. So behind. Cats leading by 3 points here on Grandstand AFL. I missed story time about the O'Donnells.
No, I killed you at half-time with our interview.
And BJ Goddard and Paulies involved.
Can you still bring it to us at some stage?
I think I'll get it at three-quarter time.
Tanner Bruin takes it at half-back.
It better be good.
It's not that good.
It's a big build-up.
It's pretty average.
Down past to Isaac Smith. Sends it out to left half-back. And Zach Tui takes the mark. Story time with Ben Cameron, still to come on this Saturday night. A man who does have some stories. He told you about the time he bumped into Brooks Koepka. As Tui sends it long up towards half forward in the pack. Rowan and Segler. Rowan couldn't take the mark. Spills to Atkins. He's tackled by Bontempelli. A throw as he tried to flick it up to English. Umpire was right there on point and able to blow his whistle.
To be fair, I call him Brooksy now. As Blitz halves, kicks out towards half forward. Myers picks it up. He's tackled close to the line. Eventually, Williams for the Dogs comes away with the footy. Handball to Treloar. Handball to Dale. Handball back to Treloar, close to the boundary line. Handball to Bailey Smith. Runs into a dead end. Evades them. Kicks forward of the wing now for the Dogs. Stewart there. Intercept mark. Defensive point of the square. The Cats leading by 3 points, 4 minutes into the second half.
And Stewart sends it out to Zach Guthrie. He works his way through, right half back. A high kick in which Jones comes charging out. Competed against English. Stengel stays down for the Cats. Hand pass forward to Segler. Tackled by English and dragged down when he didn't have the footy. Baker's hand pass over the shoulder. Worked it to Ed Richards, to Liberatore. Hand pass to Bontempelli. The Bont looks up towards half forward. Kicks out in front of Lobb. Feeds the hand pass to McRae. Has Ugelhagen in space. He marks. In the right forward pocket, 50 out from home. He's got Norton leading to the fat side. He's in two minds and now might have to have the shot.
Yeah.
As he musters some energy and fires it out to the left, it won't come back. And it sort of sums up the Dogs' night a little bit, just a bit indecisive, and another opportunity goes begging. Cats by 2 points, 4 minutes gone, third term.
It was actually a good result for Geelong that he actually was able to hold Jamara Ugelhagen up. About 55 out for goals because they did have Aaron Norton one out with Koning in the goal square.
Tui goes with another barrel, doesn't quite get it. Off hands, live footy in the centre square. Segler bends over to pick it up for the Cats. It's not coming out.
One from three, I reckon, Zach,
yeah.
isn't he? Keep trying them, though.
Hasn't even meatloafed it.
Does he need to, though? He's still kick at 65.
Well, that's right.
Exactly.
Stoppage at half-back. Still not a bad result.
Close crawling after it on the wing. Richards picks it up, snaps the Dogs to half forward. Stewart goes up, doesn't mark. Bontempelli gathers on the bounce, gives it off to Smith. Flying shot from 50 out to the right. And De Koning trying to track it back. Can't take the mark. And a throw in deep right forward pocket for the Dogs. Cats by 2, 6 minutes played, third term.
Toss back into play. Norton doing the ruck work against Segler. Dogs deep in attack. Segler down to Bontempelli. Kicks to the goal mouth. Great mark. O'Donnell in front. Just teamed to be 15 as he plucks it in front of Zach Guthrie.
Just had the reach, didn't he? What's he stand? I think is he 195?
He is 197.
197, there you go.
It's James O'Donnell, the former cricketer, the son of Simon, for his first goal in AFL footy.
Good on him.
And what a time to put it through for the Bulldogs. Puts the Dogs back in front at the 6 minute mark of the third term. 9-9-63 to Geelong, 9-5-59. This incredible story, 35 days after being picked up by the Western Bulldogs as a Category B rookie. He was playing in the seniors for the Western Bulldogs and a third generation to play AFL, VFL footy with his grandfather Kevin having played at St Kilda. Simon, of course, having played as well and possibly could have been a St BJ, but he's now coming to the bench.
Coming to the bench, but it looked like he was hobbling off a little bit with our mate Chris Bell, who's former Saints physio back in the day. It's a little bit odd that you just run off after the goal with a full head of steam, and then he's run off with physio. It's a must watch.
Bounce back in the middle. English hooking it down. It bounces back to him. He's tackled to ground by Nevitt. I did laugh when Scoob Simon O'Donnell went in there to give the speech.
Chopping nicknames now, mate.
From the restart. No tap, and eventually it will come out towards Richards, who spins out of trouble. Handball away towards English. Gives it off to Caleb Daniel, who will kick into the middle of the ground, into the path of Bailey Dale. Handball over the top to McRae. Kicks the Dogs out towards the wing. Bailey Williams sweeps it over the top. Ugelhagen stabs it to Bontempelli. And the Dogs work their way around the ground, and eventually it ends in the hands of their superstar, 35 out directly in
Great
front.
footy. Yeah, it was the decision from Caleb Daniel, wasn't it? He was heading over to our broadcast wing on his left foot, but just stopped, and he can really turn on a dime, can't he? And it just opened up the whole ground, kicked it back inside. Bailey Dale involved again. This Russian roulette game a little bit. Those high half forwards from the Dogs involved in all their forward thrusts. Ends up with a shot to the skipper.
Bontempelli comes in to make it back-to-back majors. He hits the post.
You should put that in the book, wouldn't you? He's just been a little bit off point. You can see him really working hard. He was behind that last goal that O'Donnell kicked. But you back him to knock that one over.
5 points, the Bulldogs' advantage. 9 minutes into the third.
De Koning brings the Cats back into play. Up towards Ollie Henry. Trying to get right up onto the back of Anthony Scott. Spills the way of Colin Jasny, who now becomes the tackler on Liberatore. With good support from Tom Atkins. That wasn't your Simon O'Donnell story you were going to tell us, was it?
No.
Okay, I just wanted to make sure.
Big nickname guy, though.
I was going to say, pick up some of those nicknames you're dropping. Was close, can't burst clear. He's tackled by Caleb Daniel just in front of the Dogs bench, not far from where Lauren Borden is watching on.
Well, James O'Donnell does look to be all right after he had that ankle injury, but it's Adam Treloar who's been going and visiting the physio every time he comes off to get some work on that hammy and calf.
Thanks, Loz. Yeah, missed 3 games with that hamstring injury. As the Dogs through Ed Richards at half-back, out past to Bailey Smith, runs the boundary line inboard for Waitman, it's over his head, and Zach Guthrie as well. Waitman back onto it, jams into full forward, Jamar is all on his own, and Ugle-Hagen marks 10 metres out from goal.
Do you see him? Do you think you saw him?
I don't think he did.
I'm not sure, but it was the ability for the Bulldogs to go from inside the contest, get it out, and then Geelong.
Classic Bulldogs.
Well, Geelong just had no answers. We talked about it, but essentially that being the difference in somewhere where they need to improve at half time.
Jamara Ugle-Hagen comes in from the top of the goal square and puts through his first of the evening. And the Dogs all of a sudden skip out to an 11-point lead. At the 10-minute mark of the third term, 10-10-70 to the Cats 9-5-59. The Bulldogs are the last 2 goals of the match. Meanwhile, the second half about to get underway from Darwin, the Crows 8-4-52, leading the Gold Coast Suns 5-5-35.
Because Bailey Smith arguably had another Bulldog or 2 just to keep using that number around the ball before he kicked it, because he did miss his targeting Cody Waitman, who did a good job to clean it up. Just the change of angle just opens up the vulnerability, opens up the game, but makes the Geelong defenders really vulnerable. They can't get in line with the ball and read the cues really well, which they do. But again, it's just the ability of the halfbacks being involved. Caleb Daniel, Richards, and then just, Treloar was there if he wanted to give it, but Bailey Smith being the high half forward, but their use of hands is outstanding.
10 individual goal kickers for the Dogs. Stengel out of the middle. Handball to Myers. Handball inside 50. O'Connor. Bailey Dale beelines the footy, wins it. Handball to Liberatore. He'll kick into the middle of the ground. Jones tackled quickly by Buse. Ball jars out. Whistle on the play. Free kick will come back and go to Jones.
That is outrageous.
Out of zone umpire. Should have stayed out of zone that time. It's a bad call.
Cameron Ling's been hot on the 4 umpires not working. Where do you 2 land?
No, I wouldn't say that.
Comment.
Not sure about that. Yeah, BJ can't
Sorry,
comment.
BJ.
No, I think largely it's been pretty good. I reckon they've picked up more that would have been missed. That one just...
Is that a good thing, though?
Wrong. Well...
Dogs by 11.
Bailey Dale kicks it around the city wing. Scott to Treloar, back to Treloar. He chips it back to Liberatore. Links up by Band to Bailey Dale. He bangs it towards full forward. Bontempelli flies out. Could have got in the back of Jack Henry. De Koning with a hand pass to Nevitt. Kicks Geelong into the middle of the ground. Liver trying to fend off Myers. Turns it over. Isaac Smith's hand pass looking for close. He ran the gauntlet. Got past English. Hand pass to Gary Rowan. He's off and racing. Inside 50. Steadies. Just the finish. Kicks a much needed goal. Gary Rowan is hard to stop at full tilt. And the Cats close the margin of 5 points the Bulldogs' way. 10-10-70 to Geelong 10-5-65. Gary Rowan with his first goal of the night.
Well, Caleb Daniel was having to do the chasing. He was that high half-back again, just getting caught up the ground with Richards. Close got involved. There's a number of Geelong players, but it was those guys that you highlighted at half-time, Bally. You could classify Rowan as a small, couldn't you?
Yep. Well, they were all
Small.
involved there because
Yeah.
Myers laid the tackle. So Liberatore, it looked like the Dogs had him pinned, but Liberatore tried to get around Brian Myers, who, as we know, as you said, Bede, gets up so high to put pressure on. That was just perfect. That was
Smith half
textbook
forward.
play. Yep, and then caught him on the slingshot.
Yep.
So just when you feel like the Dogs have got the upper hand and you know, about to sort of kick away, the Cats just find a way to stick around.
The biggest lead we've had tonight is 12 points. Generally, it's been single digits out of the middle.
Well, that was Jezza Cameron in the centre bounce. So, fearing that the Dogs are starting to get on top around the ball, he's put Stengel in there, he's put Close in there, and that time Jeremy Cameron was in the centre bounce.
Ping holding the ball. Liberatore kicks towards full forward. Loose footy. Ugle-Hagan onto it. Handball errant. Nevitt swoops on it for the Cats. Handball to Buse. Handball to Myers. He kicks to the wing. Smith will come up and take the mark on the logo, city side of the ground. They lead by 5 points, the Western Bulldogs.
Kicks inside 50. Cameron trying to bring it down against Liberatore. Gets back onto it. High kick towards the teeth of goal. Ollie Henry underneath it. Almost dragged down by Liam Jones. No whistle. And Bontempelli with a clearing kick. That's a big call. As he finds Oscar Baker at right half back. Plays on, works it to Geelong. Blintzow's coming the other way. Surely taken high, no whistle. Sliding in for Geelong, a chance for Jezza Cameron. Tries to knock it to Rowan's advantage. Stuck underneath he and Bailey Smith. Smith brought down now by Jeremy Cameron. Umpire lets it go as the ball eventually comes clear. A chance for Jed Buse. He just volleys a kick forward. No one's there for Geelong. Racing back, Caleb Daniel. He gathers just inside the field of play. Trying to draw Myers. Then kicks low and short to Bailey Smith.
Bailey Smith, he'll kick towards centre half back. He'll almost turn it over. Getting involved. Henry brings it to ground. Ollie Henry is kick a shocker. And the mark taken by Tim O'Brien defensively for the Dogs. He'll kick laterally to Jones in the left back pocket. Quarter hour mark of the third. They lead by 5 points, the Bulldogs. Jones kicks towards the wing. Lob comes up, slaps it out, throw in on the wing.
I thought Richards either just cramped or he just done his hammy, but he ran past that forward little 45 handball that you see every team and half-back do, and he's just pulled up a little bit lame. But
he's staying out there. It looks okay.
Must be cramped halfway, not even halfway through the third quarter.
I was going to say the speed of the game, though. It has been a high-octane game as Bontempelli tries to soccer it in the middle of the ground. Only as far as Stewart of the Cats puts it out in front of Myers, who marks on his chest, 45 metres out from home.
Stay alert, Dogs. You'll find someone here.
He looks for a little
There
chip
it is.
kick over the top. He works it beautifully.
He's not
puts
good.
it out to Tanner Bruin, who marks directly in front. It's probably barely 15, but everyone on the ground knew what he was going to
15.1
do.
metres, yep. Got to be alert when Brian Myers has got it around the 50. I think he's coming off now, Ed Richards. Burge. I think you're onto something there.
He's the number 2 goal assist player in the AFL, Brian Myers, behind Christian Petrarca.
That was brilliant from Tom Stewart, though. And again, a bit of a lesson for James O'Donnell. He just read it so much better. That forward thrust from the Dogs. Pounced on the loose ball, set up the shot at goal.
Tanner Bruin looking to put Geelong in front. He comes in and steers it straight through. One of their boom recruits in the off-season. Able to strike truly. And the Cats are back in front by a point. This seesaw contest continues under the roof of Docklands. 11-5-71 to the Bulldogs, 10-10-70. 16 minutes gone, third term on ABC Sport. Ahead of Bully and PJ, Lauren Borden on the boundary.
Ed Richards isn't in a good way. He went straight down in the rooms. He could barely jog off. He basically went with a slow walk off the field. The doctors already had their bag ready to go down into the rooms with him, and Lachie McNeil starting to warm up along the boundary.
Well, it's not great news for the Dogs. He's been pretty good, Ed Richards.
I find it odd that he just doesn't come straight off if it's
If he's done a calf.
if he's done a hamstring.
We've
seen him just pull up lame there, and then unfortunately for him, the next bit of play, ball gets the open side, and he had to chase Brian Myers on the lead.
7th lead change of the night. Out of the middle go the Dogs. Bailey Smith, handball to Treloar. Handball back towards the wing and Bailey Smith. Back to Treloar. Low ball inside 50. Waitman coming at the footy. Doesn't take the mark out the back. Buse, he'll carry it over. A minor score.
No, he's played a push. Another one.
Rush behind.
No, he's played the push in the back.
Yeah.
Jones
a little
pushed
shove
Buse
from Marty
through.
Jones.
Yep.
So it will be a free kick. which does mean the Cats retain the lead. They lead by a point. 17 minutes into the third.
Here's up to Mitch Nevitt, who works his way to the front, marks in front of Bailey Williams. Sends Geelong into the middle of the ground. Bruin growing in confidence. Takes the mark in front of Bailey Smith. The former Giant looking for options in the corridor. There's not a lot on. So he plays on, veering out to the right and sends it towards half forward. Rowan flies from behind. English well set. Even Rowan at full height could barely get above his shoulders, and Tim English with a good contested mark at left half back for the Dogs.
He's been brilliant, English. This is possession number 20.
English goes short. Bailey Williams able to mark. Cats still leading by the smallest of possible margins. Short kick to Duray. 18 and a half into the third. Duray goes right back towards fullback. Gardner takes it. Wants to send it out towards the City wing. Turnover. Mark taken by Cameron. He'll chip the Cats inside 50. Right onto the barrel chest of Tom Hawkins. 45 out. Slight angle left of centre. Costly mistake from Ryan Gardner.
As efficient as they've been going forward inside 50, the Bulldogs, they've really hurt themselves off turnover and their turnover by foot. That was one of the...
I'm not sure the switch kick to Ryan Gardner's on, to be honest. The 50-metre switch kick. So costly, those sort of mistakes. No, the kick to Gardner, going back.
Hawkins comes in, 50 out. His drop punt is left.
Let him off the hook, but going back inside 50 to Ryan Gardner, who really didn't have that much space. And you certainly don't want him kicking the ball outside 50.
Enough to double their advantage.
Bailey Dale brings it into McRae. Back to Dale. Kicks out to the City wing. Can't quite get it to Oscar Baker, and Tui gets a touch onto it to see it out of play. I'll just go down to Lauren Bourne on the boundary. Lauren, Marcus Bontempelli, can you see him down there at the moment? I think he's headed straight down to the rooms.
Correct, Clinchy. He went straight down there and followed Ed Richards down into the rooms. Lockie McNeil is coming onto the field. Looks like for Ed Richards, though, so I'll keep you posted on Marcus Bontempelli as well.
Yeah, just yell out when you work out what he's off the ground with. English knocks it down to Caleb Daniel. He can't break clear. The umpire will throw it up in the middle of Docklands. Geelong leading by 2 points. Blitzhouse wins down the tap against English, but McRae sharks at best. Hand pass to Caleb Daniel. Links up with Duray. Stengel offers a good chase. Sends it out to the Docks wing. Stewart's well positioned. Who takes the mark against James O'Connell.
Stewart, he'll kick towards left half forward, and Stengel have it a mark. Cats with it, 2 kicks from home. They lead by a couple of points. 20 minutes into the third. Stengel sets it to the pocket. Looking for a marker. Pack forms. Close brings it down. Myers in the pocket. His snap is a flower bag that floats out on the full to the near side. So the Cats' lead remains at 2 points. 21 minutes into the third term.
And while the Gold Coast Suns have closed the gap in Darwin, the Suns have taken the lead. 9-5-59 to Adelaide 8-4-52. As Bailey Dale almost turns it over, a shocking kick out of defence. Has to regather it. Works it to Caleb Daniel, who sends a high ball up the Docks wing. College as he works to the front, outmanoeuvred. Aaron Norton takes the intercepting mark.
Good stuff.
Kolajasny looks to send it in the direction of Hawkins and Jessica Cameron. Cameron got hands to it, couldn't complete the mark. Tyson Stengel over the top. Hand pass to Cameron. Somehow works it to Nevitt. Hard against the boundary. Centering ball. Blitzhouse in the goal square. Pulls it in. Right hand to the left hand. Right on the behind line. Just had the size mismatch and was able to capitalise on the mark against Liam Jones, one of the all-time premium defenders. And Blitzhouse only 5 metres out, steps out, snaps on his right, and the Cats extend their lead to 8 points. The last 3 goals of the match the way of the Cats. 12-6-78 to the Bulldogs, 10-10-70. Geelong making their move in this third term, which is now 22 minutes old.
Just feels like Geelong just been on top this last 6 or 7 minutes here. This repeat entries, Bulldogs struggling to get the ball out of D50 with any efficiency.
Pressure's been good, hasn't it, Geelong? I love Myers, Stengel, just they're hunting bodies. All of a sudden the Dogs run an overlap game has
But then you
Don't
add
miss him.
in the compounding issue with the Bulldogs squarers, right, coming out of D50 by foot.
Downstairs, Lauren Borden.
Marcus Bontempelli just running onto the centre bounce now. He went down into the rooms to get his left knee strapped, and unfortunately it is a hamstring injury for Ed Richards, so he's out of the game with a hammy injury.
The last 3 goals of the game, the way of the hoops. Treloar in the middle. Now Liberatore tackled to ground strongly by Bruin. And we'll get another ball up just outside the bullseye. Umpire underhands it aloft. Caleb Daniel off the hands of the rucks just spikes it forward. Lockie McNeil tracking after it. Hughes beats him to it, picks it up. Little 1-2 with Mullen and O'Connor. Now Izzy Smith on his right will kick around the wing looking for Hawkins. Jones in front. Hawkins goes to pick it up at ground level. Daniel does. Runs a little arc, then wants to bite off a kick back inboard. Kick is good. Treloar can mark.
And pass to Liberatore to the back edge of the centre square. DeRay works it to Treloar again. Could have been taken high by Stewart as he got his kick forward. He did. And McNeil, who's been subbed into the action, will get the downfield free kick at left half forward. The Cats with 4 goals to 2 in this third quarter. And now 50.
Was it?
Not 100% sure what the 50-metre penalty is for.
You said?
Yeah, possibly. I reckon it is, yeah. And Jeremy Cameron still wanting to plead the case with umpire Matty Nichols, but
I think it was Jeremy Cameron.
Yeah, but I think it was the downfield free kick and then the disagreement of that downfield free kick, so downfield and 50. So
I think Stewart was arguing that it shouldn't have been downfield, it was actually in play.
So Lockie McNeil, the sub into the game, a chance for the first kick, first goal for him. He misses from 15 metres out directly in front. Oh, what an opportunity that goes begging. Cats lead by 7 points, 24 minutes gone, third term.
So Zach Tui receives the kick in. Stewart rather gives it off to Zach Guthrie running by, and he'll kick towards the wing. Liberatore hands on it, doesn't bring it down. Now close, snaps around the boundary line on the dockside wing. Stengel, he sees it out.
He didn't let it tap it. Why didn't he just pick it up?
He tapped it straight over the boundary line, and the umpire said deliberate.
It's not a bad decision because he just tapped it straight over the line. If he had picked it up and run 2 steps over the line, he wouldn't have paid it.
Cats leading by 7. Treloar with the football between wing and halfback.
I just don't like this. Okay. But look at the pressure they put themselves under here.
Works it back to Ryan Gardner and Anna Daniel. They need to find a way out of defence. Back to Gardner, who sends it up to the docks wing. English rises over Jed Hughes to take the mark. He wants to chip it over the top to Marcus Bontempelli, who has the left leg heavily strapped around the knee. Comes inboard to Daniel. Just about everyone in the defensive half, though, for the Dogs, bar a couple. Daniel tries to send it out towards the left half forward. English in from the side. Takes the mark, 52 out from home.
Well, they need him everywhere at the moment. They had 3 of him, Tim English. They're not getting anything out of Aaron Norton tonight. English is really the only one who's looking, nor Rory Lobb, for that matter, as well. So this bloke's just doing it all.
Can you learn from Max Gordon? Veer out and lob it through from long range. Instead, he's going to poke into the pocket, looking for Waitman. In from the side, O'Connor spoils it out of play. A throw in the left forward pocket for the Dogs. Geelong by 7 points. Time on third term.
Tim English setting a kick behind the play. Forward 50 stoppage here for the Dogs. And we'll get a ball up again. Umpire puts it up. Norton slaps it down towards Liberatore. Now a strong tackle here on Bruin coming from Bailey Smith.
Really impressed with his toughness tonight, Bruin.
Umpire puts it up. The Koning knocks it out towards the boundary. Waitman out after it. Left half forward for the Dogs. Handball to Treloar. Handball chopped off by Mullen. He'll kick towards the wing. Bouncing ball. English. He'll keep it in and out point Cameron. Kick smothered. Blitzarves. Well done. Comes to Ollie Henry. Kick goes straight up and down towards the edge of the square. Liberatore out bodies Atkins. Marks for the Dogs.
Thompson and a few of their key movers to take control out wide to Bailey Dale. Inside 50, lob the target. Norton, big fly. Can't come down with it. Zach Guthrie's locked up as the tackle's laid by Adam Treloar. The ball up in the left forward pocket for the Dogs.
Just can't find a mark inside 50. Cano, the Dogs at the moment. Cats setting up well, getting numbers back.
12 to 10 inside 50 is the way of the Bulldogs as Isaac Smith's clearing kick, not past Bailey Williams, who marks inside 50. Out to the left, he'll kick from 45 metres out.
I know it went 10 metres in the air, but I don't even think it's travelled 15 metres. But a good little patch for the Bulldogs the last 3 or 4 minutes. It's their ability to lock it inside 50 re-entries. And you said, Luke, that just can't manage to find a mark inside 50.
Had a couple of shots earlier in the match, Bailey Williams. Got a couple of behinds. To close the gap once more for the Western Bulldogs. Williams starts his approach. He flares it out to the right. It might not have the journey. Big fly from Lobb, and Norton, it clears the pack and goes through for a minor score. Cats lead by a goal. 28 minutes gone. Third term on ABC Sport.
Third shot on goal tonight for Williams.
Short kick in from Stewart to Buse, and now on to Bruin. Right half back. Not long left in the term. Cats lead by one straight kick. Kick to the wing. Scott double fisted down. Bailey Williams picks it up on the half volley. Dogs with it on the wing. Duray played for the high free kick. And the siren will end the third term. The Cats kicking the last 3 goals of the Premiership quarter. And they will lead by one straight kick as we turn for home here on Grandstand AFL. The goal kickers for the Cats, Cameron and Hawkins with a couple singles to Tui, Bruin, Nevitt, Stengel, Rowan, Myers, Close and Blitzarves. All singles the way of the Bulldogs. Treloar, Ugle-Hagan, Waitman, Smith, Lobb, McRae, O'Donnell, Richards, Norton and Caleb Daniel as well.
Meanwhile in Darwin, the Gold Coast Suns kicked 5 goals on the trot to start the third quarter. Adelaide have just answered back with their first goal the second half. And it's the Suns who lead by 16 points, 11-8-74 to the Adelaide Crows, 9-4-58. And earlier today, it was Collingwood 63-point winners over the West Coast Eagles and Port Adelaide by 55 over the Hawks. Great to have your company on Saturday night footy on Grandstand AFL on ABC Radio, ABC Sport Digital, and now streaming on the ABC Listen app.
This winter, get ready for 8 weeks of cricket like you have never heard before.
One of the most dramatic mornings Test cricket you'll ever see.
From the 7th of June, join us for the World Test Championship final between Australia and India.
Cummins on his way. Coley is forward. Driving, caught by Green.
The Women's Ashes.
Beaumont's just struck on the pad and Perry's appealing and she's got another one. High fives for the Australian.
And a rivalry bigger than the game itself. The Ashes.
Goes and balls to Smith, who works it away. There it is. 200, and he'll take another for luck as well.
Grandstand Cricket.
Live and commercial free this winter on ABC Sport Digital and the ABC Listen app. Just look for the red cricket button.
Grandstand AFL.
Now streaming every match on the ABC Listen app.
Look for the AFL button.
Gave it to Rowan with speed, kicks up towards Hawkins, who gets a few metres on Liam Jones. He can chip it over the top. The streaming inside 50 is Myers. He can play on, swings onto his right and backs through the opening goal the second half inside a minute. Segler down to Bontempelli, kicks to the goal mouth. Great mark. O'Donnell in front. Just teamed to be 15 as he plucks it in front of South Guthrie. The former cricketer, the son of Simon, for his first goal in AFL footy. Good on him. And what a time to put it through for the Bulldogs. The Dogs through Ed Richards at half-back, out past to Bailey Smith, runs the boundary line inboard for Waitman, it's over his head, and Zach Guthrie as well. Waitman back onto it, jams and the ball forward. Jamar is all on his own, and Ugle-Hagan marks 10 metres out from goal. Jamara Ugle-Hagan comes in from the top of the goal square and puts through his first. Liver trying to fend off Myers, turns it over. Isaac Smith hand pass, looking for Close, he ran the gauntlet, got past England, hand pass to Gary Rowan, he's off and racing, inside 50, steadies, just a finish, kicks a much needed goal. Tyson Stengel over the top, hand pass to Cameron, somehow works it to Nevin, hard against the boundary, centering ball, Blitzarves in the goal square, pulls it in, right hand to the left hand, right over the high line, steps out, snaps on his right, and the Cats extend their lead.
The 2023 AFL season.
On radio
ABC Sport Digital.
and now streaming on the ABC Listen app.
Three-quarter time under the roof of Docklands. It's the Cats who lead the Western Bulldogs by 6 points. 12-6-78 to the Bulldogs 10-12-72. Such a massive game on a Saturday night. The Dogs a chance to stay in touch with the AFL's top four. The Cats currently in 10th position trying to break a 3-game losing streak. Matt Clinch and Ben Cameron calling the action. Lauren Borden down the boundary. The thoughts of Luke Paul and Brendan Goddard with you on ABC Sport.
It is a massive game, Clinchy, and it's still anyone's game, isn't it? Obviously, here at three-quarter time, it just felt like the Cats that quarter really dialed up the pressure and the intensity around the ball. And Beej, you've said a couple of times, been really impressed by young Bruin, who's led a bit of that around the contest. Myers, who I think's been terrific tonight, particularly, we know his work rate getting high up the ground. A couple of Geelong's goals were a direct result from the pressure that he and Close were able to put on, getting high up the ground and then getting the Bulldogs out the bat. And we've spoken about that great sort of tactical battle. I mean, you look at the numbers, two of the three highest possession getters for the Bulldogs have been Bailey Dale and Caleb Daniel, but I would argue that their direct opponents have had real impacts on this game as well. Not by necessarily possession, but just by pressure, certainly, and then just their ability to be able to drag their opponents up and then create the space for the Cats to be able to score. And they kicked 4 goals that quarter. 3 of them in particular were from, slingshotting back from pressure across half-back. So still anyone's game. You just feel like the Dogs have got to find a better way forward. I don't know what it is. I mean, Aaron Norton and Rory Lobb only had 5 possessions each. So, I mean, you couldn't question Norton's work rate. I don't know what the answer is. Again, that quarter was more about the Geelong's team defence. So they get really, we speak about their forwards getting really high to make it really difficult for the Bulldogs to enter inside 50. But a couple of times also, it's just been poor execution and poor decision-making when they've been out, shoulders out, space inside 50, and they just haven't been able to execute. So if that's the case this quarter, you just feel like the Cats are going to be tough enough for long enough to grind out a win.
Just to give you an answer, I think, just for their efficiency going forward now, just the lack of finding a mark inside 50. I think when they change the angle of the play and get it to the open side, that's when you can really, and it's not rocket science, it's been like this for a long time, hasn't it? Particularly with a team that's set up so well behind the ball and in line with the ball. So when I say in line with the ball, for the listeners out there, where the ball is, Geelong set up so well, directly in line with that, in line with the goals, that you have to go around it. You have to find the space that's on the open side of the ground. So when the Bulldogs have been able to do that in general play, like most teams, mind you, it's a perfect bit of play. Get it to the open side where the space is, particularly going inside 50, is where you can actually make Geelong defenders in particular really vulnerable. So they win it down the line, coming out of D50, they have to take it back inside and get it to the open side of the ground and give their forwards the best chance to find isolation.
Cats lead by 6 points. Into the final turn we go. English does the rucking and the roving against Segler. Squeezes the kick out towards half forward. Bontempelli charging in. Lays the bump on Atkins, who sockers it out to Blitzavs. He swings onto his left, up towards half forward. Down low for Rowan. Got it off his boot to Stengel. Into the pocket. It's over the head of Jesse Cameron. Gardner lost his footing. Liam Jones tackled by Hawkins. Ball spills clear. Umpire says he got a hand pass away as it goes out of play in the right forward pocket for the Cats.
There's no such thing as illegal disposal anymore, is there?
Lucky.
Very lucky.
Mustn't have thought there was prior opportunity. Still.
Interesting watching Chris Scott at three-quarter time. He was prowling his charges, urging them on. Doesn't normally seem his style, but he knows the significance of this game. Hawkins tries to take it out of the ruck against English. Squeeze the kick towards Isaac Smith. Knocks it on to Cameron. Good tackle laid by McRae. Gets it to Stewart, the defender. Pushes forward. An unlikely goal scorer. Tom Stewart with the first goal of the final term to extend the Cats' lead out to 12 points. 13-6-84 to the Bulldogs 10-12-72. Stewart pushing forward, just the 4th goal in his career. And what a time it is for him to trounce back to centre half back.
I was going to say, you think it was his first goal, but maybe it's first for the season, but it was a pretty good goal too, wasn't it? Because he received the ball running onto his left foot into 3 or 4 Bulldogs players. It's good enough to see that stop prop and curl it back on his right foot. So dream start to the quarter, and it started at the centre bounce. Just that desperation again from Atkins, and then Blitzarves, to get the ball forward. I just feel like the Cats are on a mission tonight.
Kick the last 4 goals of the game now, the Cats. Is it going to be a match-winning move? Back in the middle. Bruin going after it. He piles on top. They want a free kick, the Dogs, they'll get it. Liberatore trying to be the lubricant to a Bulldogs comeback.
Been super, Libber.
The lubricant.
25th possession.
He's the man that gets the Dogs moving.
I would have gone with glue, but...
Kick inside 50 from Daniel, and the mark taken by Norton. 30 metres out, slight angle left of centre.
I like that. You should have just said lube.
Norton's got the shot on goal, an important moment in this match as well. Kicked the first goal of the night.
Yep, been pretty lean since then, so perfect time to take a contested mark. He's got to go back and kick this.
Comes in and misses bad right. Tugs it nastily. 3 minutes into this fourth term. Geelong by 11 points.
Isaac Smith takes the kick in but goes to the hand pass to Tom Stewart in the right back pocket up to Stengel, who juggles the mark at right half back. Hand pass inboard to Mullen. He drives a high spiralling kick towards centre half forward. O'Brien sits underneath it. He takes the mark at centre half back for the Bulldogs. Out to Oscar Baker, who marks at right half back. Got a shove from Kolajasny as he took the mark. Umpire said that was all okay, no further penalty. Works it wider still to Bailey Dale. Inboard to Liberatore. Marks just defensive side of the AFL logo on the dock swing. The Bulldogs 10-13. They've left a few goal shots out there. So the Cats 13-6. As Libber sends it towards Ugle-Hagan at half forward. Big fly as he puts his knee into the chest of Zach Guthrie and then veers onto the left, out to Norton and can't quite claim it with his fingertips. Mullen for the Cats. Hand pass to Isaac Smith, who links up with Atkins.
Atkins will kick towards the logo in the Rowan direction in front of him. And Bailey Dale. O'Brien marks for the Dogs. Called to play on now. Has to get a handball to Bailey Dale. He'll just get his kick away through the hands of Baker. Falls for Treloar though. Handball back to Baker. Runs away from a tackler. Kick off the side of the boot. And Zach Guthrie in front. He marks just inside the defensive 50.
It's another great example right there, isn't it? It's been the game about halfway through the first quarter. Yes, pressure, but just a sloppy handball, made Baker stop, allowed the pressure to come, and then a scrubby 20-metre kick into a shallow entry rather than a ball that should have been kicked deep inside 50.
Isaac Smith chips it over the top to Tom Stewart, still inside the defensive 50, back to Smith. Short, precise pass to Jeremy Cameron. On the move at centre half back. Spot Stengel. Baker coming in from the side. Clears the two. Stengel works back onto it. Looks inside the forward pocket. He's got Ollie Henry all on his own. He bounces it towards him. He can chip it over the top to Blitzavs. Very good composure there from the Cats forwards. Always knew they had one free out the back, and it ends up in the hands of Mark Blitzavs, shooting for his second goal of the night.
I don't want to bring it up again, but it's just close. It was Stengel here. It was a good bit of play for Jeremy Cameron, just to have the courage to roll onto his left foot and get it to his open side. But just the small forwards of Geelong is having a huge impact on the game.
Two-time best and fairest winner swings out to his right. It's right on line with the left goalpost and the wrong side of it in the end. Cats lead by 12 points at the 6-minute mark of the final term.
Bailey Dale with the kick in, short to the pocket. Mark taken by Caleb Daniel. Unsure of where to go. Runs around the boundary, kicks towards Ugle-Hagan. Has a lot of it, doesn't quite complete it. Izzy Smith tries to soccer it on. Liberatore. Handball out to Bailey Smith. He'll kick towards Norton. Bracketed by a couple of Cats. I thought he might have taken the mark, not paid. Play on. Off to Ugle-Hagan, kicks inside 50, lob in best position, and lob marks 45 metres out, 45-degree angle right of centre.
Well, best case scenario for Geelong, but it's probably the worst case for Bulldogs. It was Jamara that got it on his right foot, because there's a couple of Bulldogs players that were streaming back to the goal square that if he was just had been a right footer or had a bit more penetration in it, he would have got it to him as the bonk. Was the main one.
To bring them right back into this match. They need their main man to deliver. It's out to the right, one of their main men. There's a high-profile recruit. back to 11 points. Cats lead 7 minutes into the fourth term.
They've had their fair share of misses. Lobb, Norton, Bailey Williams late in the third quarter. Lockie McNeil as the Cats work it out of defence. Up towards Myers at halfback. Now he's in a wrestle with Liberatore. You know how that ends. Liber wins it. Hand pass to Waitman. Dribbles a kick inside 50. McNeil. The free kick is coming back. And it's going the way of Geelong.
Oh, that's going to hurt him.
Just as the Dogs are inside 50. I'm not 100% sure what it's for, BJ.
I'm searching as well, to be honest. Liber's a bit confused by it all.
Ollie Henry receives it from Isaac Smith at right half back. The Cats leading by 11 points.
Kicks around the edge of the centre square. Myers is able to mark. He'll chip it short. O'Connor takes it 52 metres out. Thinks about giving it off to Smith. Decides against it. Sets it up for Blitzarves. Spoiled down by Gardner. Live footy inside 50 for the Cats. Lob runs past it. McNeil's there. Handball away to O'Brien. Artie Jones in a real pickle. Blitzarves got him. Holding the ball. And Artie Jones is pinged. Blitzarves with the free kick. And the set shot. 40 metres out, the mark will be set.
Just been tougher for longer there. The Cats just want it more. A couple of bad moments there. Rory Lobb, you want to have that one again. Just got to stay in line with the ball. Young Artie Jones, you can't knock him there. Maybe just throw on your boot under pressure in defensive 50, but
Blitzarves' kick is a shank.
Lets him off the hook.
Yeah, misses the lot out of bounds on the full. So the Dogs will get it back. 11 points, the Cats' advantage.
As O'Brien brings it out of defence. The kick looking for Jamari Ugelhagen from Jack McRae. Has spoiled out of play and a boundary throw in. In the A-League men's grand final, I know you were keen to keep across it, BJ.
Yeah, what do you got for me?
An upset. The Central Coast Mariners lead 5-1.
Wow.
Melbourne City having sat on top of the ladder for most of the season.
Is that Usain Bolt's team, Mariners?
Yeah. Yes, good for you, boy. Jason Cummings with a hat-trick. Archie Thompson style in a grand final.
They got the giant sauce bottles as well at their ground.
What
behind
do
the
they do?
goals. They're like an advertising.
Are they?
Yeah.
Heinz.
Yes.
We're avoiding the brand on the ABCB.
Sorry, yeah, I forgot about that. It's been a couple of weeks.
That's fair enough. You went across it and we walked you right through it. As a throw is given away against the Western Bulldogs, and Mitch Nevitt's going to take it. Lauren Borden on the boundary.
Geelong's just made their sub as well, so Sam Simpson just getting ready to come on and Jonathan Segler making his way off.
Thanks, Loz. Kicks towards half forward. Gary Rowan flying in. Crash the pack. O'Connor long to full forward. Ollie Henry beaten by Gardner. Hard against the boundary. Hand passes over the top to Bailey Smith. Gives the hand pass to DeRay. Fires the kick out of defence. Straight to Jeremy Cameron of Geelong.
Jeez, it just feels like Geelong in these big moments, just standing up through pressure, through effort. Again, there's no magic formula, is there, Bully? You highlight a couple of efforts from the Bulldogs they'd want back earlier, but
Cameron goes into the pocket very close to the boundary line, and Tom Hawkins gets on the end of it to mark 45 out. The mark about 1.5 metres in from the boundary line, left half forward.
and it's just your ability to do the simple things well. Even that Dr. A come out, just get it as far and as wide as possible close to the boundary, that when your team's under the pump, you just need to get a re-stoppage, and you're able to communicate with one another, get structure ahead of the ball, reset.
Won't suit his natural ball flight. From right on the junction of 50 in the boundary line across the face. English stands tall in the defensive goal square, and he's able to mark for the Dogs.
Gives it to Bailey Dale, who tries to find an avenue out of defence. Short to Liberatore. Footy spent a long time in Geelong's forward half. 7 inside 50s to 3 the Cats way in this final term. Liberatore played on, almost ran straight into Rowan, not 15 to McRae. Hand pass to Bontempelli, trying to lift the Dogs across half-back. Into the middle of the ground for O'Brien. He wants to give off the hand pass. There's none on offer, so he kicks out wide to the city wing, out in front of English. He gathers, hand passes inboard to the Bont, runs into Blitzarves, gets the hand pass forward, asking a little bit of his Dogs teammate in Scott. Feeds the hand pass away to Williams. Dead end, Bontempelli brought down. The Cats take it back through Myers, who chips it looking for Blitzarves, but turns it over.
Now dropping it, Bailey Smith. He eventually flicks it out, and a throw.
Pressure.
It is. It's
just Nevitt again too. Couple of good efforts there. So it's experience, it's the young guys jumping on board now, just wearing the Dogs down. Here the Cats.
They've still kicked the last 4 goals of this game, never into the middle of the ground. Jeremy Cameron Marks wants to move it on to Izzy Smith. Handball gets to him on the bounce. He'll wheel and then kick out towards Cameron. Left half forward for the Cats. Chips into the pocket and Ollie Henry hugs it to his chest. 35 out, deep in the left forward pocket.
Back him here, wouldn't you? Just to line it up, size it up and curl it around and in.
This will make it really tough for the Western Bulldogs. Henry bends it home wonderfully. The new Cat puts them out by 17 points, a game-high lead for the men in the hoops. 14-7-91, plays 10-14-74, 13 minutes into the fourth.
Lovely finish. Again, just the pressure. We mentioned it halfway through that third quarter. It just felt like they really dialed it up, really started to turn the heat up. And the pleasing thing for Chris Scott, the coaching staff, is it's been as we said, it's been a mixture. It's been the young players. See Bruin starting to come of age, as he should. High draft pick, plenty of opportunity now. He's played a lot of game time tonight in the middle of the ground. Really like Nevitt's game. And then Blitzars and some of those more experienced players have been terrific as well. What have the Dogs got left?
3/4 time in Darwin. The Suns leading the Crows by 4 points. Here at Docklands, Geelong out to a 17-point advantage. The biggest lead of the match so far. Thrown up in the middle. Blitzav's up against Lob. Lob wins down the tap. It spills away upon Tempelli. Kick partially smothered. It ricochets off Hughes. Waitman tries to slide in against Bruin. Libba tries to charge his way through. Can't get a clean hand pass away. Hughes works into O'Connor for the Cats. To Simpson the sub. Hand pass out wide for Close. He looks out wider still for Cameron. On the bounce he gathers. Wheels past Gardner. Chips it over the top for Simpson. Up against Caleb Daniel. Daniel did enough to spoil it out of play. And a boundary throw in 55 metres out from the Cats' goal. Geelong 14-7-91 to the Bulldogs 10-14-74. The Bulldogs led for the first half. The Cats took the lead by 6 points at 3/4 time. It's been a 2-goal-to-none final term the way of the Cats. Daniel trying to find a clearing way out of defence. Feeds the hand pass to Scott. He looks up to the city wing and finds Oscar Baker.
Baker will wheel and kick long around the city wing, looking for Norton. In front of him, De Koning. Kick might have favoured De Koning a little bit. He'll kick for the Cats, back to right half back. Stuart Marks swings a handball away to Jack Henry, who will kick to left half back. And Kolajasny. Kolajasny towards the logo with his kick. Never going up, doesn't complete it. And out of play, throw in alongside the interchange gates. Quarter-hour mark of the final term. Cats lead by 17 here on Grandstand AFL Saturday Night Footy.
Cats have the bye, of course, next week. The Western Bulldogs have Port Adelaide on Friday night. Thrown back in. Lob wins down the tap. Out in front of Treloar and Close. Close could have been taken high by McNeil. No whistle. And then Nevitt lays the tackle with Tanner Bruin and a ball up in front of the two benches. Geelong by 17 points. Crowd posted at 41,944 fans. But Geelong showing on a Saturday night as Nevitt tries to knock it out. Can't do so. But predominantly a Bulldogs crowd.
Umpire puts it aloft on the wing. McRae reads it off the ruck. Handball away to Daniel, to McNeil, to Treloar, to Bailey-Dale. Dogs backward of the logo. Time becoming an enemy too. Kicks forward of the wing, Bailey-Dale. Baker Marks. He'll look inside 50. Ugle Hagen's there. Has to try and gather on the bounce. Tries to keep it in. Handball to English. Handball back looking for Ugle Hagen. Turnover. And a clearing kick from Stewart for the Cats to the wing. And Rowan juggles the mark. 17 points to the the Cats. 16 minutes into the fourth.
Rowan wants to drive it towards Hawkins and Ollie Henry. Flying in the middle was O'Brien. Brings it down to Daniel. Trying to cut past Hawkins. Kick works in the end because Scott made it work. He runs from half-back around the wing. Hand pass to Bacon, and McRae cuts back on his left-hand side. Spots Artie Jones. He gives the hand pass away to Scott. Looks up inside 50. Ugelhagen the target. Little shove on Jack Henry. English in the end couldn't complete the mark. It's locked to Ugelhagen's chest. Zach Guthrie recovered well.
I just think young Jones had to give that to Treloar, right? I talked about it three-quarter time, getting the ball to the open side, and they've come back skinny side.
Blitzhouse over the back to Bailey Smith, dribbles it towards the goal mouth. Jack Henry ran into Norton. And he lays the tackle. The Dogs lock the ball inside their attacking 50, but it's the Cats by 17 points.
Good chance here for the Dogs. Stoppage 15 out from goal. Cats lock it in. Nothing doing this time. Would need a goal pretty soon, you would think, the Dogs. Comes down to Treloar. His kick goes straight up and down. Norton will launch at it. Fisting it away, Stewart. Sam Simpson, a little fumble. Now he's in trouble. Tackle by Waitman. Tackle from Treloar. Atkins going in again. Treloar. Ball spits out. Stewart. He stands up in the tackle. And a ball up 40 metres out from the Dogs' goal. The Cats have still kicked the last 5 in the game.
Thrown up, English trying to win down the tap, but it's Atkins who dribbles a kick forward to Myers, kicks out to the City side of the ground. Cameron runs onto it, can't take it cleanly. Gardner trying to lock him up, shovels a hand pass forward to Ollie Henry, who slaps it on to Gary Rowan. He tries to gather between wing and half forward, looks up, only Hawkins 1 against 2 inside 50. He sends it in the Hawkins direction, works his way to the front, almost juggled the mark, spills from his fingertips, having covered so much ground, and goes out of play. Right on 50 in the right forward pocket for the Cats. Geelong 14-7-91 to the Bulldogs 10-14-74. Time starting to run out for the Dogs. 19 minutes gone, final turn.
English in front, double palms it down to McRae. Tumble punt towards the wing, past the logo, slapped on cleverly by Norton. Here goes Artie Jones, out in grass, runs inside 50. The kick's a shocker. And it tumbles out, having missed everything. Throw in left forward pocket here for the Dogs.
Big moment. Big moment. At least take another opportunity.
Didn't take another 20, I reckon. Should have kept running.
19 into the
they would have caught him?
DeConey was not catching it.
Sam DeConey wouldn't have caught him. Jeez, they've missed some opportunities, the Bulldogs. They've been their own worst enemy.
The second half.
Norton trying to take another ruck. It trickles forward towards Ugelhagen. Up against the left behind post. It goes out of play. And a boundary throw in. The point post still shaking from the contact. The Dogs with another attacking forward 50 stoppage. Norton to do the ruck work against Sam DeConing, giving Blitzhouse a breather. With John Segler subbed out of the match. Thrown in, Norton knocks it to the front, but it's straight to Zach Guthrie. A clearing kick for the Cats up towards Henry. That's Ollie and Jeremy Cameron. Cameron's hand pass picked off by Treloar. Hand pass to DeRay. Jeremy Cameron lays the tackle. And the umpire will ball it up 55 metres out from the Western Bulldogs goal.
English and Blitzarves. Neither touch it. Bounces to Atkins. He's tackled by Treloar. Try again. Time on now in the fourth. Bulldogs need a goal and they need one soon. Winning the tap down English. Atkins onto it. Spills out to McNeil for the Bulldogs. Duray. Handball to Scott. Running around them. On his left. He'll kick into the pocket. Ugelhagen hands to it. Arriving late to Coney with the spoil. Now close. Handball back to Stewart. Stewart floats a clearing kick towards the wing. Scott one-handed. Can't complete the mark. And it's held in. Stoppage on the wing. The Cats are just doing enough. 20 and a half minutes into the fourth.
Looked dangerous, Ugelhagen, hasn't he? Is it likely tonight?
From the stoppage, a chance for Tom Atkins. He runs out of room. As McRae lays the tackle.
He's the one. You feel Norton hasn't had a great night. Ugelhagen's the one that's looked really dangerous launching at the footy. That was the last Dogs goal, Benny.
10 minutes into the third term.
Just cannot find a way there, can they?
Jamari Ugelhagen, the last goal scorer for the Western Bulldogs. Cats through Tui, trying to burst clear. Pinballs off a couple of players. Treloar's hand pass to Bailey Smith. Feeds it back to Daniel. Kicks up towards Artie Jones. Can't take the mark. Hughes gathers for the Cats across half-back. Hand pass picked off by Daniel. Looks to send the Dogs inside 50. Norton comes charging out. Clears he and Ugelhagen. Racing back onto it. O'Donnell. It goes out of play. in the left forward pocket for the Dogs.
I think that kick needs to go more central, doesn't it? When they've only got 4.5 minutes when Caleb Daniel got that ball, and you mentioned Jamara, just he was the isolation at the top of the square. Just kick that open side of the ground, take the risk, to kick it there and get scored against the other way. But they need to take risks now with only 4 minutes, and they need arguably, what do we need?
3 goals.
3.5 goals.
Out by 17 at the moment, the Cats. It comes out to McRae. He's bumped off his kick out of bounds on the full. Cats will get it back in the right back pocket.
Cats pressure's been just superb. Just the second half. Just get the feeling that this one means a lot, obviously. I'm going to lose 3 in a row.
Oh, Liam Jones flying for it on the wing. Can't take the mark. Spills to Hawkins. Squeezes a kick forward of the wing. Henry able to gather it. Now a handball into the middle for Bruin. Cats streaming towards goal. Bruin out in front of a teammate who slips over in the end. Cameron will track it in though. Cameron able to keep it alive for the time being. Duray picks it up for the Dogs. Gives it back to O'Brien, who'll have it at fullback for the Dogs.
Kicks to Bailey Smith. They need to throw. Caution to the breeze now, and a 50-metre penalty will help.
Wow.
Against Ollie Henry, who didn't stand when he was told to. So Smith taken from the defensive 50 to the middle of the ground. Can they try and ignite something here? He's got Bailey Williams free. Chips it to him and hung in the air a long time. Never slides in, not paid the mark. Now he's locked up by Williams. Tom Atkins comes over the top, and the ball is stuck in the middle of Docklands.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but don't you just get that in?
Well, yeah, 3 goals in 3 minutes. There's Lenker. Get the ball forward, not sideways. It's just been the story of the second half for the Dogs, I reckon.
Because even if he marks it, he gets held up. It's not like a really percentage play where he can play on and then get it deep inside 50 or find a lead.
Cats with 2 goals to none in this final term as Blitzhouse wins down the tap to Close, who tries to trickle it forward to Simpson. Back to Close, kicks it long inside 50. Rowan in a wrestle. He gets rid of Duray and takes the mark directly in front, 15 metres out.
Go back to the root cause though. The Geelong team shouldn't have an opportunity to actually get a clearance there and be 1 kick away from having a good look inside 50 and just found some isolation.
Still feels like an important player, Gary Rowan, to this team, I think. It's not about possessions for him. Still think he still complements that forward mix of theirs really well.
31-year-old back in after a hamstring injury. Gary Rowan comes in and puts through his second. And Geelong received their 6th win of the season with a dominant final term. 3 goals to none the Cats' way. 15-7-97 to the Bulldogs 10-14-74. Geelong by 23 points at the 24-minute mark of the final term. Meanwhile in Darwin, Lockie Murphy put the Crows in front, only for the Gold Coast Suns to kick the next 3 goals of the match, including Jack Lukosius, who has 5, and Ben King, who has 2. But the Suns have well and truly answered the Adelaide challenge. 9 minutes gone. Final term there, Suns by 15.
The Cats have answered the Dogs challenge. It's been a great performance in this second half. Even then, after that goal, you see how much it means to them. They know the pressure's built a bit, hasn't it? They couldn't afford to drop another one and slip further away from the leading pack. So, and they've played like it. They've played accordingly. Again, mixture of young and old. It's been a really, really good, strong performance in this second half. Well deserved.
Blitzarves wins the tap down. Bontempelli, handball forward to Treloar, bursting out for the Dogs. And leading out, strong grab to Ugle-Hagan. 47 metres out.
Yeah, I really like what I'm seeing from Jamara. Really growing into that role. His hands have been terrific tonight.
Not going to waste any time. He comes in and tugs the kick. Misses away to the right. So Geelong's lead 23 points. Misses the lot in the end.
Full time in the A-League Men's Grand Final. 6-1 was the final scoreline for the Central Coast Mariners over Melbourne City. So one of the biggest clubs in the A-League, Melbourne City, going down to one of the smallest, the Central Coast Mariners. And the celebrations no doubt will ring out there. Stewart receives it from Isaac Smith in the left back pocket. Looks for options around the Docks wing. Sends it in the direction of Rowan English. underneath him as Rowan with a big
hurt.
fly right in the knee to the back of the head. And English is slow to rise. Tom Atkins is underneath the bottom of the pack with Treloar and Liberatore over the top. And Tim English
Just what you need with
no
a minute
doubt
to go.
got a bit of a headache from that.
Now he's doing the ruck work with Rowan. Ball comes out the side and eventually heads out.
Been magnificent, English.
Hasn't he?
Couldn't have tried any harder. 27 possessions, 12 marks.
23 points. The Cats lead. English slaps it to the back, straight into the bread basket of McRae. Handball to Daniel. Handball to Dale. Chaining up through the middle of the Dogs. Kick from Gardner. Just finds Bailey Williams. He'll wheel and kick to Liberatore. Attacking edge of the square. Plays on his right. Kicks towards full forward. Lob goes up. Doesn't drag in the mark. Arriving there is Zach Guthrie. Is wrapped up by Bailey Smith. And a ball up 30 metres out from the attacking goal for the Dogs.
A lot of numbers around this with the final siren not too far away. Blitzhouse wins down the tap. It ricochets back to him. Spills the way of Bruin. Kicks straight to the boundary line. That'll surely be insufficient intent. And the Dogs will get one more roll of the dice. Bailey Dale senses the urgency. Plays on. Dances around Gary Rowan and then hacks the kick towards full forward. English can't take the mark. Bruin over the top. The footy locked underneath the two. And the umpire will ball it up. 25 metres out from the Western Bulldogs goal. Cats by 23 points. Blitzhouse tries to slap it away. Buse tackled, releases the footy. Baker locked up by Zach Guthrie. It spills the way of McRae. Hand pass to Treloar. He kicks towards goal. It's out of bounds on the full. And that kind of sums up the Dogs' night.
Leading by 23 points, Geelong. Stewart, a long kick towards the wing. Dale roves it off hands, gives it off to Jamari Ugle-Hagan. He'll kick long towards full forward. On a Saturday night beneath the roof, it's the Cats who get the cream. They defeat the Dogs by 22 points to level the ledger on their season at 6-6.
Geelong, the greatest team of all. We are Geelong, we're always on the ball. We play the game as it should be played. At home or far away. Our banners fly high from dawn to dark. Down at Gardenia Park.
So the Cats kick the last 6 goals of the game to overrun the Dogs and win by 22 points. As I mentioned, the goal kickers, Cameron a couple, Rowan a couple, Hawkins a couple, singles to Tui, Bruin, Nevitt, Stengel, Myers, Henry, Stewart, Close and Blitzarves. As for the Bulldogs, Treloar, Ugle-Hagan, Waitman, Smith, Lobb, McRae, O'Donnell, Richards, Norton and Caleb Daniel.
We're always on the ball. We play the game as it should be played. At home or far away. Our banners fly high from dawn to dark. Down at Gardenia Park.
Cats jump inside the top 8 for now. They're in 7th position at 6-6. And all of a sudden heading towards the bye. It looks like they're still a force to be reckoned with in 2023. The Bulldogs' inaccuracy cost them dearly in the end. The Cats winners by 22 points. The thoughts of Luke Ball and Brendan Goddard, your experts on ABC Sport.
Yeah, well, it was all about Geelong, wasn't it? We came in to saying they're undermanned in the midfield. The Bulldogs should have it on top of them there, but they just weren't able to get the best of them, really. The efforts and the intensity, particularly in the last quarter, I said there's no magic potion, there's no special tricks, is there? Is that when the game's on the line, the team that generally are the harder and toughest, and I know it's simple, well, it sounds simple, but it is simple. It's just in big moments, just be harder, tougher, and do the simple things more consistently well, and it will give yourselves the best chance. But more often than not, you come out with the result you're after, isn't it? And that's what it looked like in the last quarter. The game was up for grabs. We can talk about Bulldogs. Their efficiency in the first half was through the roof. We said 15 scoring shots from 21 inside 50s at one point, and they ended up with 26 inside 50s in the first half. But they really hurt themselves by foot in the second half. through the midfield, out of defence, and then going inside 50. They just didn't have an avenue towards goal when they had time and space to actually find a target inside 50. It wasn't Norton tonight. De Koning I think he took a mark on him earlier, a bit of isolation, but for the rest of the night, he literally just didn't get near it. So through one good team defence, but De Koning has to be, I think, congratulated for his efforts on him. And like I said, just the intensity around the ball in the last quarter when the game was up for the grabs, the Geelong were just all for it. You just highlighted tackles overall. There's 84 to 70.
84 for the game, yeah. I think, I reckon for about halfway through that third quarter, they just dialed it up. And the Bulldogs have had a lot more of the footy.
But that's just sensing the moment, right? Like that's just like, this is what this requires.
Yep.
It wasn't. They didn't rely on ball use or quick hands or handball chain out of pressure or a bit of offence that it felt like the Bulldogs were relying on. They just literally said the moment right now requires us to really turn up the heat and our intensity and effort, and that's what good players and great teams do.
Yep. Yeah, and the Bulldogs didn't change their game. They were still happy to flick it around, which invites pressure, as we know. And I thought Geelong just got a sniff of it. And once they did late in that third quarter, they and you mentioned, Benny, that Chris Scott really looked impassioned, wasn't he, at the three-quarter time? They could sense they've been under pressure. They know that. This is the reigning premier. They could sense that this was big for them. And it wasn't about who wasn't out there tonight. You mentioned Brune's efforts at times. He's had 12 tackles. Even Rowan, I just think he makes a difference back in that team just with his pressure and his chase. I thought the three small forwards, I thought Myers and Close in particular were terrific for the Cats. Stengel did his bit. And then they had sort of moments from Nevitt. Atkins, as we know, always does his bit. And then I just thought Tom Stewart, particularly in that second half, controlled the game across half-back as well. And had a lot of the footy, the Dogs, but they never really looked threatening. And that's right. And they didn't kick a goal after the 10-minute mark of that third quarter. So full credit to Geelong all over the ground, particularly their mids and their backs for their ability to get back and clog up and really thwart any sort of forward entries that or any momentum that the Bulldogs were trying to get. So you're right, Benny. I think it's still got plenty of work to do. We know that. And I think their draw is rated as the toughest, isn't it, in the second half of the year? But gee whiz, you wouldn't be putting a line through this Cats team that quick. They'll get Dangerfield back next week. They'll get some more soldiers back. We know that. If they can keep just pinching some wins, and we know they've got a lot of games at home as well, they're going to be thereabouts at the end of the year.
Nine of their 12 remaining matches are against top 8 teams, so ranked the hardest.
Well, that's what happens when you win the premiership, isn't it? But a handful of those are at home, which, okay, they've probably lost that out-and-out home ground advantage, haven't they? We saw last week what happened, but they're still pretty hard to beat there at home. So Dangerfield comes back. They'll get Duncan back. One or two others that'll come back into that team, we know. I still think they're a force to be reckoned with.
Cats haven't lost 4 in a row since 2006. They still haven't, with victory today snapping a 3-game losing streak. Luke Beveridge has a bizarre record against Chris Scott. He's only won on 2 occasions in the 10 matches they've faced off against each other. It's just funny how sometimes coaches and sides line up against
a great club that has been for the last 2 decades.
But if ever there was a
most dominant club in the last decade, so it's always like whoever comes up against Geelong, you can probably reel off a stat like that, couldn't you?
Yeah, they've got a pretty good record against
everyone. So
except the Giants, isn't it? Down there, is it right?
Yeah, that's true. Yeah,
but
it's interesting.
I think you're right, Clutchy. On paper tonight, it looked like they were right for the picking, didn't it? Now, okay, Geelong trying to avoid losing 4 in a row. And there is something in that, a proud club and a proud team not wanting to relinquish that record. But the Dogs are coming off a disappointing loss last week to the Gold Coast as well. So no real excuses for them tonight, I don't think.
But over a month period, the Bulldogs have been really good, haven't they? So they let themselves down last week against a good Gold Coast team who I think...
Well, that's right. They're going to frank the form, it looks like, tonight.
So I just felt like it was a clear plan. Like, they obviously undermanned in the midfield tonight, but it was a clear focus. And I felt that going into the game, that the one thing that Geelong had to bring was just the heat. It was through energy, like you reeled off Nevitt, Bruin, Atkins, they've laid like something like 20,
Myers, yep.
nearly 30 tackles between the three of them. Like, they had to bring that tonight to give themselves the best chance, because if I'm Geelong and the midfield coach, I'm going, look, respectfully, boys, we don't have the talent that we usually would, and we don't, Bulldogs have greater talent than us, so we must bring that intensity, effort, pressure around the ball to give ourselves the best chance, because I think, like I highlighted, because either end, the bookends, they're really strong. The stability behind the ball with Stewart, Henry back, Kolajasny, and then up the other end, which their continuity has been really strong, right? Stengel's missed, I think, 4 weeks with a broken arm, but the mix-up forward hasn't changed with Hawkins, Cameron, Close, Grime, Myers, Rollins, come back off another injury. So it just had to be a huge focus for Geelong, I think, in the midfield tonight, and they've come away with the chocolates in terms of the effectiveness and nullifying the effectiveness of a great midfield in Western Bulldogs.
It was 8 goals apiece at half-time. The Cats were 7 goals to 2 from that point onwards to run out 22-point winners. And Tom Stewart with a goal in the final term, his first goal since 2018. Let's join the Cats with Lauren Borden.
The greatest team of all. Hey, we are Geelong. We're always on the ball. We play the game as it should be played. Hey, and no more far away. Now I'm just flying high. We're going to knock. Gotta get in their park.
They came in pretty casually to sing that song, and that was pretty much the rendition we got. So a nice way to head into the break, though, for the Cats. Tom Hawkins, the last one in, with a bit of a rip jumper at the back as well as they head into their meeting. And then we'll try and grab a player and get some reaction after that.
Thanks, Loz. We'll be back down with you as soon as they come out of that meeting. Geelong winners by 22 points over the Western Bulldogs, 15-7-97 to the Dogs, 10-15-75. And the Cats have now won the last 5 against the Western Bulldogs.
Get a week off, that's the other thing. So they knew they had that coming. So not that, they just a little 1 or 2% in their mind. They know that, they had to really, as you said, Beej, it was an effort game tonight. They had to really, really leave it all out there to get the result, and they did that. So they go to the break, they earn that, they rest up, and then they head to Adelaide Beach to play Port on a Friday, or was it Thursday night, sorry.
Thursday, yeah.
They really are
they're
the hottest team in the comp at the moment. So, they'll be coming off.
No, they
play next week? No.
So Geelong at the bye. They're
Geelong at the bye. Porter
Thursday.
back here playing the Dogs, though, next week.
They've got a 6-day break.
So they had a chance to go to 10 wins in a row. So depending on how they go next week, they could be coming up against a team that's 1-10 on the bounce. So that's an exciting prospect as well.
What about the Bulldogs forwards tonight, Paulie?
Oh, I mean, Aaron Norton's a question. I know, and Bevo dug his heels in this week, didn't he? When the question came, is it time to give Norton a crack down back?
Now, is that argument around more about giving a bit more stability for Bulldogs behind the ball, or is it just that it's not working out forward in terms of arguably the 3 tall option? Jamara doesn't really play as a tall; he's more like a third.
No, not yet.
Medium.
So
tall.
I still think they need him. We know at his best forward of the ball. What he does, and even at times we commented tonight, I love the way he competes. He's rarely, if ever, outmarked. So as a small forward, if you're Waitman, if you're Jones, you know there's a reference point. You get to his feet, you know you're gonna be given an opportunity. But what did he end up with? 6 or 7 possessions? Yeah, 7 possessions. So
it was really he had no effect on the game.
So he was their leading goal scorer last year with 51 goals. Cody Waitman with 36. Kicked 1 tonight, so he's got 22 goals for the season. And the argument is the Bulldogs don't really have a strong intercept mark player.
It's more that, Keith, So clearly Keith's out of favour, isn't
O'Brien,
he? Yep.
They've sort of tried to use them in those roles, and it feels like that's one area of the game when you compare them with like a Darcy Moore or the better sides who are just able to have that player who influences the game, Sicily. Like a James Sicily, Tom Stewart.
And they arguably play as a tall, but they literally just go to where the ball's going every time.
And they don't grow on trees either, do they?
No,
but that's what the best teams have. Yeah, so that's what they've got to try and find. And we spoke Gardner, who's honest, isn't he? He has a crack. He's not the answer for that. Liam Jones had his hands full tonight. Tim O'Brien. We know they've tried Bruce down there. It's a challenge, and Ed Richards got hurt tonight. I mean, that's a blow on the top of Joe Hannison, isn't it? If he misses a few weeks with a hamstring, that's a real blow as well for their back 6.
So the Bulldogs have Port Adelaide, North Melbourne, and then the bye. So they're in a better position than what they were last year, but The question still remains around their game style and their personnel, with the inclusion of Sam Darcy, who we haven't seen as much. Rory Lobb has come in to join the Bulldogs this season, so they've added firepower up forward. Another season with Jamara Ugle-Hagan, and their midfield with a player like Marcus Bontempelli, who's probably in the top 3 in the competition at the moment. There's still a few questions as to what's going to deliver their best.
Yeah, questions at both ends of the ground, isn't there? We saw it tonight. I think, clearly their midfield's their strength. I mean, and including the ruckman in that. I mean, I think he's the best ruckman in the comp, Tim English. I think he should be at the top of the tree.
He might sound biased, but I think it's him and Marshall, to be honest. And they play very similar games.
Play similar roles, yeah.
Agility,
Melbourne we know with Gore and Grundy perhaps.
No, I don't. I just like the way you said it. Looking after your man.
I'm not looking after him. I'm speaking truth, mate.
I don't disagree with you.
I think it's English.
I like Sean Darcy as well.
Yeah, okay. Sean Darcy doesn't get 27 possessions, 12 marks. I just think he's... Darcy, and the other thing, and this flows on to the, Rory Lobb. Does he give enough support? No, he doesn't. He doesn't do enough at the moment. He's come on big money. I mean, it was English or nothing tonight, wasn't it? In the air, behind the ball, in front of the ball. So, where was Rory Lobb in that last quarter when they needed someone to go up and clunk it, on a second or third tall
where was
defender?
Aaron Norton?
Well, okay, he had the key defender though. That's what I'm saying. Lobb started on the wing. He drifts forward. He doesn't have the number one defender. So they need more out of him. We know. I mean, Norton. We know that he's not at his best at the moment, but they need more out of Rory Lobb as well. Or give young Darcy a go. When they're giving O'Donnell a go, aren't they? He's only raw. We know he hasn't played a heap of footy. So clearly both ends of the ground for the Dogs, and that's not a secret. I mean, Bevo's. Comments about that most weeks, doesn't he? What sort of mix they find?
The only other option is they play Keith on a Tom Hawkins and try and free up Liam Jones to see if he can be that kind of player.
So Keith and Gardner in the same, but they seem reluctant to do that.
Yeah, probably what they're worried about, the one-on-one matchups.
Yep. Yeah, I mean, Liam Jones has been a great story this year to get him back, and he's been terrific. And look, that's not where they lost it tonight, really, was it? It wasn't a monstering from Hawkins and Cameron. They both did their bit. It was more around. I thought Geelong's smaller forwards had more of an impact tonight.
I think that's a huge fact. You might say Bailey Dale and Caleb Daniel have had 30 and 35 respectfully, but a lot of those were deep in defence. Bailey Dale takes all the kick-outs. It generally finds a couple there, but that just their ability back the other way. Geelong small forwards, when they get high up the ground, like most teams do, let's be honest, it's everyone a sheep at the end of the day and doing generally the same thing, particularly with their small forwards, get up the ground, but their abilities to get back with speed and then get goal side of both Caleb Daniel, Bailey Dale on a number of occasions, it's just, you must keep them up in front of you. Your worst case scenario, and they just continually got forward of the ball and goal side.
So what's going wrong for the Bulldogs? We said all night that they just couldn't capitalise forward of centre and trying to go inside attacking 50. And coming into tonight, they averaged 10 marks inside 50 per game, which is ranked 16th in the competition. So where's it going wrong?
Well, I think I said particularly when they got momentum, they're trapping the ball in their forward half, is just their ability to take the ball off the line, not concede to... When the kick comes out, they win it back, just to go straight line footy and kick it back to where it come from. It must go off the line, get it open side where there's space, and I think Norton and then Jamara and their tools will actually get greater opportunities and better looks at it.
We'll touch more on the Dogs, but let's head into the Geelong rooms, winners by 22 points with Lauren Borden.
Thanks, Clinch. I'm down here with Tom Atkins. Thanks for joining me after the win. You've broken that 3 straight losses, and it must be nice then to head into a break on the back of that win, being able to put those losses aside.
Yeah, definitely. We really needed that one, and I think it's a credit to the coaching staff during the week. They came out with a bit of a left of centre coaching, and the boys really grabbed that, and it showed tonight.
Can you take us a little bit into what the left of centre coaching was? Chris Scott obviously said that he wanted you as a team to be a little bit less passive and take that confidence in of being reigning premiers. Did it surround that a little?
Yeah, it was definitely around that. Being a bit of a younger side, I think we just probably have been on the back foot a bit in the last couple of weeks. And, Scotty pretty much just said, like, I don't know if you guys know how good you are. And I reckon it's worked wonders for some of the young guys in the group and even some of the older guys. Like, a few of us probably second-guessing our own ability and to have Scotty and the other line coaches to really back you and tell you just to go out there and enjoy it and, get on the front foot was refreshing.
Do you think it does become a little bit mental when, as you said, you're kind of in this position where you're losing a little bit more than you used to? Was it a bit of a mental thing as well as you've got all those injuries going out of the side?
100%. I reckon most of the game's mental, to be fair. Like, everyone's got the ability. We all work the same. We all work hard at our craft, but it's the good players can execute on the night. Sometimes you've just got to get in between the ears right to go and perform.
Let's head upstairs now to some more questions from Luke Ball and Brendan Goddard.
Tom, well done tonight, and thanks for letting us in. It's interesting what happens during the week, but we were commenting before, sometimes it's just as simple as rolling the sleeves up and putting the blue collar on and getting to work, and that's the sort of game that you love. And 84 tackles tonight, in particular from about halfway through that third quarter, it just looked like you really dialed up the heat on this Bulldogs team that we know love to handball it around. And to me, that was a big difference in the way the result went.
Yeah, for sure. As you mentioned, that's the doggy style, and we've come up against that type of style recently as well against Fremantle, and we probably didn't handle it as good. So I thought tonight, Tanner Bruin had 12 tackles all around the ground. I think defenders helped that as well. If you look up with the ball and you see Tom Stewart prepared to intercept, then you're going to take that half second, and that's when us as midfielders and forwards can close down the tackles. So credit to the defenders.
Yeah, I thought it was a really good spread across the ground, and you mentioned the defenders, and they were great. Didn't concede a goal from halfway through that third quarter, but also those high half forwards, which we know have been a big part of your game over the last 4 or 5 years. But I thought Myers and Close and Stengel's ability to work up the ground, apply pressure, create turnover, and then slingshot back towards goal was critical tonight as well.
Yeah, they've been massive. They haven't been our issue at all in the last couple of weeks. They've been playing awesome. Grind's been one of our best players this year, and Tyson, we know how dangerous he can be, and Brad's just the ultimate team player. So I think as midfielders, if we can help them out a bit more and get them some easier ball, that'd be great. But I love playing with those three.
What about the midfield group during the week? Obviously, it's a pretty much vaunted midfield group. This Bulldogs group, the star-studded in a sense, and including the ruckman in that, obviously. Who I just comment, I think he's if not one of the best ruckmen in the competition. How'd you prepare for them this week?
As I mentioned before, it was less about them this week. We wanted to go into the game with freedom, especially as a midfield group. Sean Grigg is really big on that. He's been awesome. He's really big on the mental side of things, and they're really talented, and we know they're going to get their hands on the footy. That's just how it is. But I think if we could limit them and their damaging from the stoppage, I think early in the game they were probably a little bit too damaging from stoppages. But I think later in the game, we were able to really stifle the influence.
Yeah, Tom, Brendan Goddard, well done. Just one more before we let you go. Can you just let us in on maybe the three-quarter time address from Scotty, because he was quite animated, quite intense at that three-quarter time. He obviously knew that it was a pretty big quarter for the team and a big moment for the team.
I haven't got much to give you. Sorry, BJ. It was pretty.
Was it a clear message just around, because as Bally highlighted earlier, just around the effort and intensity and the pressure, particularly from your midfield group, as Bally was highlighting, and undermanned, with respect to you guys midfield group, but. Yep. Was it more around just the pressure and the things that you can control?
The main message was we've got to go and win the game. We don't need to. We don't need to try and defend our lead. We need to get on the front foot and throw the first punch. So that was his main messaging.
Tom, we did a game earlier on in the year down at Cardinia Park, and after you won, we interviewed Mark Blitzarves, and he said, look, I'm just using this break to air the crisp Pinot that he's about to go drink. I thought he was joking, but Danger later confirmed it. Does the red wine travel? Have you got one ready to go now? Are you a wine drinker?
He might not be a red wine man.
No, I do. I love me red wine, and Mark Blitzarves is a great friend to have in that area. He's always very generous and likes the good stuff. So I didn't bring a bottle for a traveller, but I think I'll be waiting for tomorrow.
You know where Mark's locker is.
I better hit him up. Might see if he might have brought a couple.
So as we let you go, Tom, what does the buy look like for you?
I don't know if I want to give away where I'm going. I might just
come on, mate.
I'm staying very close to home. I reckon sometimes when you go interstate, you end up a bit knackered after the 4 days. You feel like you haven't really had too much of a break. So I'll be staying local, but I'll be definitely having a red wine.
Enjoy that. Well earned. Thanks so much for your time tonight. Congratulations on a well-fought win.
Thanks, guys.
The Cats back on the winners list, 22-point winners over the Western Bulldogs. 15-7-97 to the Bulldogs, 10-15-75. And Tom Atkins was a big part of their pressure, in which they scored 65 of their 97 points from turnovers. And as Bally and BJ touched on, the pressure and intent from the reigning premiers.
Sorry, what was that stat you just read off?
65 points of their 97 from turnovers.
And that's kind of what it felt like, wasn't it?
Yeah. But, and early it was unforced errors from the Bulldogs, just poor kicking, poor execution. And as the game wore on, it was the Cats' pressure that overwhelmed them. And it wasn't. It was just the extra handball. I thought they were terrific. I thought they're hungry best tonight. The Cats, which,
I think,
going back to the start, Benny, usually dogs are hungrier than cats.
Yeah. Why didn't I think of that? You guys should have come up with that, because we know Ross Lyon loves dog hungry.
Used it today, actually.
Did he?
The votes for the ABC Football of the Year still to come. Luke Paul and Brendan Goddard both look at each other. The Gold Coast Suns with a big win in the Northern Territory, so 2 from 2. 16-16, 112 to the Crows, 13-9, 87.
Really good.
There'll be a bit of conversation around whether the Bulldogs are a bit fatigued from that trip up north, but Adelaide have been in good form, and that's a big win for Stuart Dew's men to have them in touch with the top 8. Likewise for Geelong now. Have you worked out who's got the votes, or is BJ scribbling them down?
Apparently I have, so...
Okay. We've got the two same names. I'm struggling for the one. Do you want me to go? All right, I'm going to give one to Mark Blitzarves. You can work out the order of the other two.
Okay.
I give one to Blitzarves.
I don't care.
And there could have been the one. Yeah, could have been several Dogs players. The man we just spoke to was good. There was it was a really
Geelong plays. You mean?
Sorry, Geelong plays. You're right. Yeah. There was a lot. It was a really even team effort in terms of that effort. So Cameron was good. I thought Myers was really good. He's had a good year. But I'm going to go one to Blitzarves and Beach, 2 and 3.
Well, I'm going to go 2 to Stewart. I just think his influence. We highlighted that the first couple of contests that there was a lack of support for the Geelong defenders, and then he just took over after that. And then
it was interesting. He had young O'Donnell on him for a lot of the game, and I wonder whether
I
wonder whether that was a deliberate ploy, a real lesson for the youngster playing in his first year of footy.
Well, and again, he's just Geelong is smart in their experience, right? So and we used to do it back in the day too. Is to pick the weakest link. So put your best intercept defender on arguably the youngest player or the youngest player in the Bulldogs forward line, and that's what they did. They managed to get the matchup they wanted. So
27 possessions, 10 marks, outstanding, and a goal.
And a goal.
And a big goal in the last quarter.
Yeah, and then I think the most influential man, albeit on the losing team, was Tim English. I think it's hard to go by anyone else that had more of an influence if it wasn't for him. Like, he was literally, which is great maturity, right? Like, I think there was question marks raised last year whether he could reach the heights that a lot expected him to do, and he's definitely doing that and some this year, but he was arguably just putting the team on his back and trying to drag them over the line in the end. So an unbelievable game, and Segler got subbed off, but they tried Blitzarves through him, which we highlighted may be a bit of a ploy to wear him down, but it certainly didn't have that effect on him because he was still having a huge impact right to the last second.
3 to English, 2 to Stewart, 1 to Blitzarves by consultation. Luke Ball and Brendan Goddard
really team
settle with their
ABC.
3 most influential players on the field. The Dogs with Port Adelaide on Friday night. All of a sudden, that starts to have a fair bit of intent to it, with the Dogs missing out on an opportunity to stay in touch with the top 4. They're now in a swag of sides like the Saints, the Cats and the Bombers wrestling in the bottom half of the top 8. The other match, the Gold Coast Suns winners over the Adelaide Crows, which, again, just makes this season so intriguing. The Suns 25-point winners, 16-16, 112 to Adelaide 13-9, 87. The goals coming through, Jack Lukosius for the Gold Coast Suns with 5, Ben King with 3, Darcy Fogarty with 3 for the Adelaide Crows, and Ben Keys with 2. The Suns booted 11 goals to 5 after the main break, after Adelaide Looked
Went to
like they
sleep
were
at the
on
wheel, did they?
top in the first half. So
Went dog hungry.
They weren't dog hungry. So
I think they had the doona up. Pretty comfortable beach. It's a favourite too, isn't it?
now, as we farewell from
You're telling the
Docklands,
story.
you do have a story about Simon O'Donnell. Is it
we got
worthwhile?
time.
We've
I've
left
got
it
a
right
minute.
to the end.
I've got a minute. So I will always remember till the day that I leave this earth, the 2010 grand final, when late in the game, I played cricket with James O'Donnell's cousin Marco.
This is a me
and
already,
He took a massive, when Brendan Goddard took the massive hanger in the goal square late in the grand final, which Luke Ball was in the vicinity.
He was on
jumped
me
up.
for a little bit. That's why I wanted to kick it to him.
He jumped up, kicked the balloon and said, "We're going to win. We're finally going to win," and started crying. He thought the Saints were going to win the grand final. I've told BJ many a times. That was the story. It wasn't quite.
Thanks for bringing up old wounds there, Benny. That's great
Sorry,
to end the day. I'll go home and cry about it later.
It was a big build-up for, unfortunately,
Luke
not a
will go
big
look at his
punchline.
premiership medal and think about me crying for the 10th time.
Apart from that, BJ, it was a pleasure to have you. Thank you, Paulie, for having me. To Ben Cameron, to Stuart Birchmore, to Lauren Borden, and to Jenny Walls back in the studio. Saturday night footy, the Cats are back on the winners list. 22-point winners over the Western Bulldogs, 15-7-97 to the Dogs, 10-15-75. Don't forget the footy action continues tomorrow with Grandstand AFL Sunday. Corbin Minimas from the West will be behind the mic. Enjoy the rest of your Saturday night. Thanks for your company on ABC Grandstand.